Well, I mean, what can I say? It's the beginning of the end for ESA Cup Season 9 because we're entering the lower bracket semifinals. But before we introduce the teams, we have to introduce ourselves. Is that not right? Caster, co-caster, and beloved friend, Mighty Ryujin. How has your day been?
My day has been quite exhausting, been working 12-hour shifts like a master, but hey, we got to take our time to be back here at ESA, especially when we're so harshly closing in to the very end. It is only a little bit more than a week until we will have the winner of Season 9, so we will stick around for the last match that we so have, and this one is definitely a banger. Team Asgard beginning off slow with an 0-2 beginning in the previous phase, immediately picking up their pace, getting a 3-2 overall in, and haven't lost a single map after my knowledge since that moment. So that is a team that has completely been uprising. But also, we have MG Vit. MG Vit, unfortunately, the team that will disband most likely, as we have already read in the social media accounts of Twitter of some of these players. Very unfortunate, but the team hasn't finished their task yet. They said the passion is gone for the team, but the passion isn't gone to maybe try and take this title home alongside the name for the last bit we have. So I'm very much confident of saying this will be a banger match with possibly 45 round at least of Smack Siege.
Yeah, you said that. I mean, it's big teams, it's Titans. Like we said, it's really getting to that end of the corner. But in the meanwhile, I mean, what maps are we going to be playing? Because it's a best of three format, meaning we can have up till three maps, or at least two if we do end up getting to the decider. Well, for starters, the first one today is going to be none other as we slowly just have it come down to us. Nighthaven. Now, Nighthaven, as you see, OCP just doesn't want to work with us for a second. We're gonna let that load in. But of course, while everything's working its way through, Nighthaven, Border, and Skyscraper. Now, personally, I'm really excited about these maps. Yet again, although they have been being brought out a bit more recently, it's not Chalet, it's not Clubhouse, and thankfully, it's not anything of the common sorts, approaching the Borrigan side of things. But I mean, I'm still interested. And with it, I mean, at this point, I think me and you both, especially you, because Ryujin, as you told me, you have to wake up quite early. We're just praying that we don't have to go overtime, unlimited overtime today for what, 21 rounds?
Yeah, unfortunately, no Bose Max OT, as we'll so often call it here at ESAs. So that is a sad day here for the ESA fam. But if we so will have it unlimited overtime, it will be. I have enough energy drinks. No, I don't. I have quitted using those, but I have enough to keep my energy up if that shall be the case. But let's look a little bit more into these maps. Might have laps, a little bit more newer map, a fairly new map with a lot of new calls to learn and also a lot of new strats, like also strategic ways to approach a map like this, as it is a very unique map from the build-up style and also the amount of entryways given to the attackers. But we've seen that this map can be very harshly defensive dominated if they so play these spots around. This is one of the fewer maps that I, for my sake, have to say, has four spots that are equally good to be well held. Border, in that sense, is only two, maybe three spots. The third spot is always a little bit harder, and the fourth spot, especially on console, we are on console, we will never see that fourth spot. I'm very convinced of that. Meanwhile, Skyscraper, we have talked about Skyscraper every single time we have seen it in a best of one. It's a neck breaker if you can begin in the defense line. You can immediately take the game flow away from the attackers after the first half. So these are three big maps that I'm very much convinced that these teams can handle quite well. Asgard is known to play laps quite well, not giving away rounds that they so often have to fight back for. Border, a good map by Vit, and Asgard picking Skyscraper at the very last. If Vit shall push it all the way to decider, they have a huge task because Asgard knows Skyscraper in and out.
Yeah, I mean, you know what even gets me more excited? Whoever wins today is going to be facing the winner of Entropy versus LDL, which is going to be played tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that because it's about to get exciting. I mean, today's match, we're already going to be probably screaming very questionably. And then tomorrow, maybe whoever's going to be casting that is even more excited. And then, of course, we just make our slow steps towards the grand finals, which will be in about a week and a half, if we say so. It's going to be next week, what, Sunday, something like it. Don't know the date by heart, but it's really interesting. But we have to focus on today's match, okay? Let's keep our head at it because it's going to be none other than Nighthaven. And you said it, Mighty. It's a map that we're excited for. I personally compare it to be a bit of a mixture of some sort of maps. It really reminds me of Clubhouse, especially because of how important Main Breach tends to be. But we're going to have to see how these players ban out their operators and how that complements the gameplay, or maybe not. Let's start it off. And of course, Mighty, I'm going to ask you the big question. Predictions for operator bans.
Okay, we have had some huge reworks about some recent buffs, but I will still say we will have some shield meta being put out here because we recently got back the Blackbird in a rework with a shield now. We had a shield meta all last season, but I think the meta has changed a little bit, so we will take out these shields that are more annoying than only having the shield. So Monty won't be the most favorite ban now. I would rather say that the Blitz is more in perspective, as we see here. That's as first. Monty straight afterwards, not unweighted, but somehow I would say unnecessary, because to play against shields now is a lot easier as long as you play it aggressive against the shields. Maybe have a teammate to help you out so you don't get taken out by the operator that plays behind the shielders, maybe rafting those away. But in the defense lines, I would say Clash was a pick that I wanted to say, but I would more go over to an Azami, for example, as an Azami can build very decent angles with her keeper barriers, and they are very hard to play against, especially on a map like Nighthaven Labs.
All right, Nighthaven Labs banning out the holy trinity of shields right now, the Clash, the Monty Blitz. I was expecting some else, but at the same time, it makes it even more interesting when you ban out the Azami, because on a map like Nighthaven, I would be expecting Tubarao, Maverick, things to really soften up the breach play and make it a bit more gun heavy. Although we're going to have to see how it plays because we have both of them incorporated. The Maverick's going to be trying to get his Maverick blowtorch to work out the wall, while in the meanwhile, the Tubarao is going to be trying to stop it. It's a nice little counteract that we had back in Old Siege where it was Thermite, Thatcher, and then Cade, and maybe someone else like the Jaeger on CC Cash, for example. Whatever the case ends to be, we're into round number 1. It's undergoing, and we are so as well. And taking a look at these lineups, on the attack, I'm not going to see too much. They can still 6-pick, but the defense. Oh, the defense. We talk about Main Breach. We have the Mute. We have the... Okay, the Mute necessarily could be Drone Denial in general, but the Cade, the Mira, the Tubarao. Wow, we are going to be playing off of these hard walls quite necessarily, and at the same time, the Thatcher on Asgard is already explaining itself quite briefly.
It's definitely talking for itself. But if we just look in the perspective of the builder of the team, as you just mentioned, a Tubarao, a Kite is often banned. Maybe something to just been taking away attention from these breaches, making it a little bit easier to play those and also get these open. But now, if you just see the pure power that WiT has, they have an opportunity to pick both Mute, Tubarao, Cade, and Bennett if they shall need it. And that means it is a lot of work for Team Asgard to clean those breaches out. Either way, though, they give away freely that connector section. They don't have any rotation that is normally played there. They play the meter deep, so they're just giving away a lot of room quite early on. And also with that way, they're giving away the first key position that you often work for in that connector section. That is quite crucial in some point, as you lose a lot of time. But I have to say, somehow very understandable, because in the hands of Asgard that they are very strong on these guns, and you don't want to force your luck too much. As the first interactions will happen, Yoshiro against Shinji, but no one gets taken out there.
Oh, when you talk about taking out Yoshiro, he's on the move. What a beautiful shot. Oh, but a second one as well. It's a quick out trade onto him. The one who brought one down is brought down to his knees too. It's a bit of an equivalent exchange, It's like, how would you call it? Dark magic. You take something, you of course need to give something as well. A nice little return and give, of course, 4v4 situation. Still counting us down as, of course, these players, one, have lost the Mira, which doesn't offer up much utility besides that C4 and the Vector, which, don't get me wrong, is a strong gun. But same goes for the Ash. Yoshiro, not having those Ash charges no longer, could be impacting on how you want to approach soft breach, and maybe even shattering out the mirrors if you haven't done so yet. Pushing up to electrical, we need to take some ground here. The players are still outside, and we have 4 completely totaled in from MG WiT. Now, looking to make an advance is going to be none other than Nokreo here. looking to swing. Yet again, we need information in gunfights, but if you go swinging in blindly, it could end up with your death any second.
As it proves that I don't see any opening happen so far on the breach from pillar. That is the biggest way of gaining a little bit more looks inside, and that is what we are attempting of now, as Shenzo is there with that with a burning torch. He's also made it a headline, and there the kills fall, and it turns over all the way into WiT hands as it is a 3 against 1. This is huge for WiT as they just want to save this first round. The clock's completely ticking against Asgard, and there's no more chance of them playing that round for their sake.
Yeah, I mean, what do we do here? We're the Thermite, the hard support. Normally, it's to be called out by the book of things, you know, the so-called code, the script, the manufacturer, whatever you want to call it, that the hard support is the last one to die. You leave out the first entry, then the second entry, the flex, the soft support. That's how they go out in order. And while though I do like the tradition we're going by, in the end, it's a 1v2 situation with 5 seconds remaining and a good shot from Klein. But as long as that Warden is kept safe in a corner, the defenders will be taking round 1. That's going to be MG WiT with a starter, opening it up like the curtains, although we still need to get the show going. This is only the beginning. This teams, they need to adapt to each other a bit more. I mean, we've seen the first round run. We've seen a bit more of defense, shutting down the attacks, not allowing them to come in purely because of those mirrors. We saw how strong those black one-sided mirrors were, and with it, I mean, they really shut down any push. We tried to go in for head checking, almost got punished, and in the end, that's where it tended to go to, as of course moving sites now, we go over to some people's preferred side, which is going to be the downstairs floor.
Downstairs floor, that is definitely a spot that is quite effective for both sides, though, I have to say, as it is much about verticality. You need to defend some vertical time here. Don't give that away too early, as if you shall do, and Asgard gains a lot of time to play, they can open up so much room. They can cover so many entryways. They can also cut off every single rotation way given to the defenders to just trying to defeat a possible plan trial very early, not like a fast plan. Just deny the take, or better said, the retake of the defenders quite well as well. So you immediately see that we have the dog into Isan working his way up into that section above into cargo, just withholding that with the dog. A huge, I would say, some anchor type-ish position of play with a dog in hand. Can stim himself up if it shall be the case, if it is needed, to just withhold this position as much as possible to just take away time from that clock. As we all know, you only got 30 minutes, and 30 minutes on a spot like this, if you have guys anchoring positions like in cargo, that isn't that much time.
As a site such as this, we need to take into consideration the top floor will have to be clear, especially as we speak of the devil is going to be none other than the Vigil in play, which I like the Jackal counteract. Of course, in order to actually counter the Jackal, you need to have mute jammers upstairs or a Kavera, which is very unlikely, but with it, I mean, Senzo's going to be playing the perfect counter to quickly scope out that Vigil, but that's not what the issue is here. It's ground control. You need to get to this first floor and flush out these defenders, which is either done with aggression or pressure. Both require you to make a move, and that's what Asgard is doing, but are they doing it a bit too slow? I think just a tiny tad. Mostly because, I mean, we have 145 on the clock. Quickly, it's going to come down to that 1 minute, and while though you're going to have first, second floor, maybe, even with characters still bringing the proactivity, such as the Vigil, C4 is coming out from below, which is very to be expected, especially because we have the Valkyrie in play. Smokes, or my mistake, Flash is coming out. That's going to be the opening from Senzo, a beautiful one, finding out not only one, but Yoshiro with the second, a 5v3, and we already have some action tensing up.
Oh, it's tensioning up here, and it is not going well for WiT, as though it has one more guy all the way back, but he may be spotted out now if that drone drives through, but it is delayed as Bankus gains 1 kill, but it is a refrag immediately, and the fact that it's a trade with the pure man of Yoshiro, and now it's Ishan and Shinji, and Ishan finds the first kill onto Nokrios, and that is big. Now the time is ticking down, and they need to do a take. It's all about great positioning now. Maybe some coverage holds. There's no more guys upstairs from the defenders, and that will only take away as Asgard now needs to conclude down. And it's all about one question: is Shinji and Ishan in good positions to be ready to take on that final take? Will they spot him out on the window or the doorway?
And ready to go down, gets cancelled just for a second. Oh, we see the headshot. That's going to be a beautiful one. The MP5 on the kill feed. Chef's kiss. We have the Dokkaebi taking heavy loads of damage, just like the Valkyrie and the Doc. But the Doc is the one to find out a triple in the following seconds. It took him a couple, but in the end, he managed to wipe out the majority of the team. A beautiful second round for the defenders. And just like I said, this was a 5-star meal served on a platter, as of course it's going to be none other than WiT. 2 rounds in a row, not making that deficit of a 1-0. And then, of course, an equalization right after. No. They're going to be using that defense as long as they're on it.
Yeah, we mentioned it. Defense is the side to take points on here. That is the side that you need to take as much point as you can, because there is no round guaranteed in the attack. So everyone on this map, it is quite well attackable, but it's depending on a lot of creativity and also, I would say, a lot about communication. As this map is a little bit bigger, it takes a lot of time to re-roam, like reposition yourself, both in the defense and also in the attack. And it's pretty much about, do you have the right amount of information? Do you have the right scenario of the intel when it's given? And are you ready with the team communications to just plan out a strategic way of moving back together, or maybe moving in other different positions to be able to help out each other? That is the big question, and WiT did it. They stole a lot of time with an anchor position, withdrawing his position quite early after the first minute, withholding the second breach ways with these roamers, taking away another bunch of time, and then only being back all the way into sight, stealing away, not being detected out. That means Asgard had the huge issues of not having intel where the defenders are in the final take, and that completely broke their net.
I really want to expand on that. You said that this is strategy and such. That's what I really love about maps such as these. Following this is going to be the second map. It's going to be the border. That's not as much strategy and not as much composition, positioning, such and such. It's more guns. It's more how aggressive you can get and how much more aggressive you can be than the enemy. But Nighthaven, no. The defense, you're playing at your own house. This defense in the first half is a silver bullet to that scoreline, and WiT need to use it. We've already seen it for 2 rounds. One more, and we've got ourselves a certified draw, which is somewhat of a positive. But as long as we can get some sort of 4-2, 5-1, 6-0 going, I mean, it's going to be cheers all the way. 5v5 still, we still count us down. Time has slowly been training by, but in the meanwhile, so have the players. Senzo, he finds one a second as well. Asgard looking to make a play, although he does take damage, but in the end, it doesn't matter. As long as he has that R4C, he's going to keep on going, rushing, steep, piling them through, just like Yasuke. 5v1, 2 people, are we going to get the ace? No, not just between 2 people, but it's going to be the third. Yoshiro putting the final nail in the coffin, and that's going to be the round finally given back to good old Asgard, as they were looking for it for quite a bit, but round 3 is where they're at.
I would say that was a good, well-concluded push from Asgard. It wasn't intended, but immediately he got caught by the first entry and said, okay, I will force you, because I know for a fact you're at the window side, and I will try to force you out. And then every single thing goes false for it, as there's one after one guy trying to take that 1v1, saying he has to be low, he has to be hit it, and I need to take that fight, and maybe trying to equalize these numbers as fast as possible, and every single one of them gets taken out. And then you have the huge gain of position in the hands of Asgard. They are completely in the man counts, have the upper hand with that. Then you try to withdraw your position, maybe fall back a little bit, and immediately you're not fast enough, as Asgard is completely on their four-step and saying, okay, we will push you out, because we are 5 against 2 and we are not leaving this round without taking it in our pocket. And that was pretty much well concluded, as they just brought the aggression that they was so heavily needed to do against it in that round.
It's such a huge difference as well, right? In the first round, it was a 1v1 left down in the final second remaining. Then the previous one was the second one was a 2v1, and now it was basically a flawless. I mean, what is the change? What did Asgard do? Well, they find themselves that little crack in the armor for WiT and expose them. And once that first kill was administered, just kept up the aggression. I mean, stepped up left, right, and center and made sure that he was known, but every single push that came at him wasn't from a team play. Asgard or WiT were playing one player at a time, as if it were a ranked match. They were swinging him expectedly. They weren't swinging him together from multiple angles, and they were not pressurizing him. He felt like he was in the flow state, completely in mind and, of course, safe and sound. So Asgard, I mean, that kill, definitely give credits where it's due, because the player, I believe it was Senzo, who's already going quite nasty kills in. I mean, 4 and 2 right now. Yoshiro as well. In even 4 rounds, that means a kill per one. Absolutely beautiful, of course. Though MG WiT, I think they're looking to claim 1 round back.
Definitely, but I somehow also have a feeling of it very much felt like he caught WiT completely off guard, like on a sleepy foot. And he also look a little bit in these stats of the players. And you both see Shinji and Vazzy. Yes, it's only round number 4, but 0-2 and 0-3, only having 3 assists all together after 4 rounds. That is a weak performance, especially when you know that Shinji, recently a Panther player, and Vazzy are doing a lot for their teams in the recent tournaments and recent teams where they have had their roles. That is just surely not enough in this position right there, as they're needed to wake up and do something. Shinji falls here in the first fight, going 0-3 himself as well. That just understrikes what I'm just saying here. It feels a little bit like you're getting them caught off guard, and they're pretty much not completely intensely set for this matchup.
Retaliation is 2 out. Double it or nothing. It's going to be Zor. And PX headshot machine finding 1 a second as well. Oh, that SMG-12 is going to be right behind it onto Yoshiro's head to claim a down onto our Portugara, who is bleeding out on the floor. Could be helped out any second, or maybe even used as bait. You don't know it. It's a 3-2 if we call it technically, with 1 player being down and not able to use his guns. But in the end, we need to play the safe. Asgard, you get a pick off. You finish the one that's down. It's going to be right. Oh, Clayton, a headshot, maybe even a hit fire one. Questionable, but at the same time, it worked out. You see the blood completely riddled it down. That's a 2v2 now, through and through. Bullets get those connecting. Oh, it's going to be the hitbox messing up with Narcrio, as the Plants is now officially going down. But the Thermite, he's somewhere completely else, as he goes in for the interruption and finds himself the final 2 remaining, shuts them down one after another. The second swing comes in right into the bullets of the Thermite, letting it all be known, and that's a round yet again for Asgard, as now we're 2 for 2, and it's either going to be a draw or a positive for one team or the other.
And I just gotta say that roam out into upper storage onto that catwalk from Bankus was completely unnecessary. He completely draw away like this position that he had in the good terms with his teammates holding multiple crosses, just helping each other out. If he would have drawn back and fall back on the same position that he had, he could have hauled the cross into the doorway where the Nocarios was coming in from. Alongside, he also wouldn't have died because he just completely gave away his position and was completely crucial in that gunfight against the Thermite. So you gave away, I would say, the upper hand. You gave away the opportunity of maybe being able to save Ishan, as he is the important player here. We got to take it back. 5 rounds played, 9 and 3. It's not only the top fragger of his team, but he's the top fragger overall on this map so far. So we know how well and how good he is for the team of WiT. And he is more likely 1-2 rounds, both rounds for WiT so far, nearly all by himself, of saying, we gotta figure out plans of playing safe against Asgard. It's a 4 against 2, technically. Yes, it's a 3 against 2 in ways of having 1 guy down. But you look like playing, okay, we gotta play passive and look for an opportunity to revive our teammate. That wasn't here the case. You draw a little bit too far front. You want to take them off their foot. Didn't work. You fall off, make it an equal 2-2. And then you have poor positioning, unfortunately. You knew for a fact that he is into that IT breach, but you can't deal anything from it.
Ash coming out to shatter 1 window, 1 more remains. That's going to be half of it gone, and Shinji as well, making sure Yoshiro's off the table. Nice little way to start it off. Drones coming out, information is key. Of course, I love Asgard. They have such a burst of energy, you know. They take their time getting a little side executed just to make their way into electrical, and then all of a sudden we have kills, we have information. All utility completely shut out of the question. Now, you've yet again settled it down. Asgard, you've lost a player. WiT have gotten some sort of something going in for themselves. You know, you don't want to feed that into them. You don't want to give them an extra piece, a second round. No, no, no. We have to get it back. But Shinji, oh, he reads you like a book. That's going to be a beautiful throw of the C4. Chucked it, yoinked it, and he's going to be in for that kill. A second one here for WiT as they're completely shutting down Asgard.
And finally, the first life signs of Shinji, a player that have shown us in the past, in a different team though, that he has huge potential, that he can read opponents like a book, and he is a menace on every single gun you put in his hands. As he is warmed up and ready, he will definitely do his very best to help his team on every case possible. Now it's all about if we can see if Wazy also will awake. Shinji puts it up to a 3-killer here. Banker's also getting one. Now is the tension real. Shenzo has been forced completely out, and who is it if not Wazy finally awaking himself? And that is a 3-2 for WiT. And now finally all 5 players of WiT should be warmed up. They're set. They got their first kills in, and I'm pretty much hyped up with seeing where this round number 6 goes. Because we know for a fact Asgard can come back from every given scenario. They had it 0-2 against their favorite, immediately dropping the first round and then answering with a flawless round. That is some way of coming back. The main question now is, do they find a prompt answer to make it 3-3 for round number 6?
Yeah, as we move forward over to round 6, keep in mind this is going to be the last one of the first half of Nighthaven, meaning the second we step over this one and give it a bit of an overstep, it's going to be 3-3. It's going to be Asgard on that defense, and it's going to be WiT on the attack. We switch the roles, and we also switch the playstyle, seeing how that complements each other. But in the meanwhile, we also go to the bottom floor, as of course this was the second round we played it at first, and it's also going to be the last one we have the chance, unless we go into overtime, which yet again, me and Ryujin, we have to wake up early, so we don't want to pull an all-nighter for Rainbow Six Siege. But if it has to go, it has to be done. You know, a job is a job. It's honest work. And in the meanwhile, I mean, take a look at the lineup. We have a bit of changes. We've seen the Vigil Valkyrie Mira already from earlier, but the Pulse and the Legion, now that's something I'm keen on seeing.
Definitely. But I gotta add something to that description of saying we both have to get up early. I would say, since we are the jump-in kings, we definitely both know for a fact a show must go on. So if we shall see unlimited overtime, it is in the show. It wasn't planned in the schedule, but it is a part of the schedule. So if we shall have to take it, we will take it like men. And that way said, we will see how these 10 men's will fight their way through round number 6. It's the final round of this first half. And I have to say, WiT have to do everything in their perspective, saying we will take this round in our favor to go into the roll swap with a 4-2 lead. But Yoshiro says, hey, no.
What?
Ooh, Shenzo with a huge kill. What a huge kill through the wall there. How was that happening? He was pinging that thing, but Ishan being killed, that is the Vigil gun. And it's also the Legion gun. That is the 2 roamers that are 2 important players. And Ishan, we know it, we knew it. We talked about it in the recent rounds. When he falls early, it's not a good sign for WiT. As also, Wazy is a little bit too aggressive, and Nocturus finds him as well, and that is a 5-2 split. Bankus finds it first. Now he doesn't see the guy coming down waterfalls, and it's all about Shinji. He killed 3 last round. Can he make a quad? What do you think, Puffo? Do we have a 3-3 or a 4-2?
I think it's quite obvious what's going to happen. I think it's also obvious that we need Senzo on a Mosh check right now. What was that shot? He just read him like a book. I mean, it's like he knew everything all at once. Shots coming out. Shinji, he claims 1, but is he good enough for 2? Secondly, not with that secondary in hand. The last one is claimed out, and oh my god, what just happened, WiT? They lost everything they had control of. The aggressive play from the Vigil started at all. It was like a chain of attacks, but so unnecessary. A roamer isn't supposed to go in aggressive. Yes, it's definitely a bonus to get a kill or 2, especially when you have that Baji, you know, really brings up the boomstick confidence. But in the end, it's your job to waste time. It's a huge map, and you have 2 floors to scout by to allow these attackers to play into your puzzles, into your maze, and that's how you really waste them down to those last 30 seconds. Even if you end up dying in the process, that's completely fine. You've done your team a solid, which is that extra pressure of the clock. But in the meanwhile, we swing out from Raptor stairs, and oh, what happens? 1 kill, the second one is a wallbang, which could have been predetermined information from a drone, and in the end, we lose out on a 4-2 possibility going into the second half. Well, MG/WiT, now you're in the attack. Gonna have to respond quite quickly because Asgard right now looking quite heavy. I mean, they have a similar lineup, maybe even the exact same. Yeah, this is the exact same lineup we saw in round 1.
It is the exact same lineup. But now, another thing also kicks in perspective. This is Asgard's map pick. They began in the attack, most likely the unfavored side for this map. Now they're in the defense on their own map pick, and it's an equal standing after 6 rounds with a 3-3. I would say nearly there is no possibility where Asgard could feel more confident on this map as of this position. Yes, of course, they could have had a 4-2, a 5-1, or a 6-0 for their sake. But how unrealistic that will be, we all know, as we are down to the top 6 teams in ESA Cup. And MG/WiT is one of those. That means there is something about this team making it impossible to gain these rounds and these round scores. So 3-3, I would say Asgard is more than happy with the first half. And they're definitely looking in of saying that is the spot that we will take in, and we will do our very best to stop WiT of taking any ground in the attack.
What just terrifies me is that the 3 rounds that MG/WiT won, 2 or even all of them were down to a 1v4 scenario, or a 1v5 even. That's my concern. I don't know where it all comes up. Oh, I want another question, since we're already asking so many. Yoshiro, where did that C4 come out of? We've already seen one on defense earlier from the Cade on MG/WiT. Now we're going to be seeing it again, but it's not going to be the Cade. No. It's going to be the Mirror protecting her own windows, aka Yoshiro, making his utility very safe and secured. Playing closely with that shotgun in the second. C4 comes through, damages just a tiny bit. A bit of blood was spilled, not too much, and nothing major of the sorts. Although coming in close range, especially here, is going to be quite dangerous. You flush him out with grenades, expecting the attack to come through. Of course, we have Yasuke a bit backed up into a corner, and Okurio backing off one. That's going to be another C4. Let them stop. We've seen so many this round already. Free fires, shots, shells, pellets coming through left, right, and center. 3 more players remaining on MG/WiT, and they're seeming quite troubled, Ryujin.
They're definitely looking trouble, and I would say there are some, misjudgments here in the ways of MG/WiT's approaches here. They felt a little bit scared off. They knew for a fact that it was a C4 coming as we were dropping one double kill after another here, but the take of just having WiT falling back with a C4 thrown out of the breach. They threw that C4 themselves just a round prior, and now they're gaining it back. Why do they gain it back? Because they don't... Sorry for saying it that way, because they don't have the balls of facing that mirror window. Yes, of course, he has a pole position with that mirror window, but if you know for a fact that C4 will be thrown at me, the thing you do is you take your gun, you pre-aim, because you know where that mirror window stands. Every one of these guys have the experience in the league to know where that mirror window is placed and where that pre-aimed section is. You pre-aim it and you walk through. Then you have gained another big position where the mirror can't play against you because she doesn't get an angle. You can destroy the mirror window, and you can all through also distract to get your other teammates off roaming in. You can take the mirror window, and you don't have to breach. You don't have to waste your utility. You just have to have the balls of facing the mirror window. And most likely, I would say 60% of the cases, that mirror doesn't kill you out because it's not swinging you when you're pre-firing the perfect angle. But with just falling back out of the breach, getting at C4 is the poorest way of taking that scenario.
Yeah, and that's what's so strong about defense on a map such as Nighthaven Labs. You have a really good dictatorship on where you want to move these attackers. If they don't play it right, you say they're scared of the mirror window. Well, better off to Asgard, because they can move your light into electrical, into a close-up fight with none other than the SASG shotgun. Now, if that is not a horror movie on its own, I don't know what it is. What is right now being quite a horror situation for MG/WiT is the fact that they're 1 round down. Earlier, they had a 2-round advantage. Well, not anymore. The leverage heading over to Asgard is now they're ready to pick it back up and get the ball running. As, of course, we're to yet another aggressive round where MG WiT take it quickly. We see the Ash charges coming in, you know, also blowing up these Goyo canisters, which is another interesting pick. I do love seeing some Goyo action every now and then. But yet again, we're downstairs. We have this aggressive play on the upstairs, which is going to quickly get down limited to 2 instead of 3 by the Ash R4C. A swing comes out, punished by Nokriel, who's going to be taking absolutely none of it, besides the huge amounts of damage.
And there's also Ishak out of the way, but Nokios, look at that HP bar. That HP bar is below average, definitely. That is so down. That had, I would say that's most likely 10% at max, or better said, below.
Yeah.
That was an intense gunfight, and that one saved somehow, but Ishan is there to save the day and make that count for their sake once more, as Yoshiro has been falling through the rafters. That is both top fraggers from somehow called out of the round, as both Yasuke and Klein are both also on 6 kills. That C4 doesn't connect though, but Shinji finds an X1, and now we have that. What are you talking about? The rounds that WiT are winning are with huge differences, as they once again turn it into a 4-1 scenario, making a 4-0 as they take it a 4-4. That is the WiT that we're talking about. That is the WiT that isn't scared of these positions. That is the WiT that isn't afraid of just peeking through and moving in if they have something against their sake. And that way they show Asgard can move them in dominant positions where they want to have them, but WiT isn't afraid of taking these gunfights in these confined spaces.
And that's what it makes this little yin-yang rivalry between the teams so delightful. I mean, we have one team winning it out by throwing slow jabs and just wearing you out. You know, we have one kill, maybe it gets traded out, then we'll return another and a third. That's how Asgard are playing. They throw small little jabs, 1-2 combinations, until the entire team is finished or time has ran out. MG WiT, they do the complete opposite. They throw out haymakers and make it a 4v1 out of nowhere. And that's just the icing on the cake to see who's going to be the first one to win it out on a round. I mean, 1 second, MG WiT can lose 2 players, and the next second, they're on a killing spree because of, I don't know, Ihan and of course Shinji, because look at the kills. We have MG WiT right now on 12-6, and then all the way down to 5-5. The difference is so huge. It's even to say comical, but it's a nice contribution from the fragging operator. There's a reason you put an Ash player on the Ash, you know. Although we're on to 4-4, and Mighty, I'm scared to say, but if this continues going, you know what I'm trying to say, right?
I know what you're trying to say, but I will just remind you, we have a pattern. We have a pattern in these goal lines, and that score line is not telling us we're going to max OT. In that case, though, we have to play a little bit chilled out and smooth, because we know for a fact every single time WiT make a play, Asgard is there to pull it back once again. So the case now is we have a 4-4, we had a 2-2, we have a 3-3. Who is taking round number 9 and have the sake once again of saying we will not draw it back to an equal scoreline for round number 10? That's like the first question that is asking me, because WiT, yes, they looked strong in round number 9, but they looked immensely falsely in round number 8 and round number 7 prior. And that is the case of me saying, I would love to cheer for WiT of saying, okay, they will take this round number 9 in their pocket. But after all, every single time, as just previously mentioned, WiT brings a play, Asgard is there to counter it out next round.
I'm just really, you know, wiggling my toes here to see where this will all bring us. 2:30 on the clock. Not much of a fast-paced movement yet. Again, WiT looking for that haymaker, that opportunity. Swings coming out. Hopefully, the Vigil won't be taken out in the first 30 seconds of an initiation on a gunfight. Pivoting Asgard, though, will be Klein to claim out Shinji. Good little headhunter onto him. Nice little opening, and it's going to be on to quite an important pick. The Ram, you can say goodbye, arrivederci, to your own verticality right now, because there is no buck or nothing like it. You can only hope on that the Deimos revolver will be enough to flesh out the rest. But we have 2 more players on this top floor right now. Klein on this, being a bit of a bait, you know. We see the Deimos slowly catching up to him, but do we know that there's all the players? There it comes 1-0. The Baji shot fails, and Bassett claims out Klein's head. That's going to be a bit of a retaliation shortly after. Although we've lost quite a bit of time, MG WiT, we need to make a backup.
So it brought a little bit force against Klein, cleaning him out from 3 angles on the same time. That's like what we call team play. And they also tried to mock out the position of Yasuki, but Shenzo finds the next kill on Isan, and Isan was the guy that I just wanted to talk about. Isan is a player, he needs to stay alive, especially when he has Doki. Doki, another big operator that can mock out the position and force these defenders to move around, not staying still, because else their position will be given away and detected. But that kill is so huge by Yasuki, pulled out there by Bankus, and he has now dealt out the only operator that he can't track effectively with his Deimos tracks, and now he's gone back for the Goyo. The party isn't over, as he's one more position in, and Vasey takes him away as Shenzo just tries to move away into former positions on maybe playing it aggressive against, with only 44 seconds left, and we have a 3-2 in the favor of MGB, but are they able to pull it off without having any crucialities?
First one to have the opportunity to finish it off, keep in mind, will be the first one to reach round number 6. Now that's going to be what we're approaching slowly. 20 seconds remaining. One pushing down EXO and one going for the blowtorch. Oh, but Yoshiro, he could have himself another pick here. And so he will. A second one doesn't confirm through. It's going to be Banks onto that revolver. Real quick draw through. A one with a Vector. But the Vector finds the second as well. It's going to be an essential draw. And of course, Asgard will be winning purely because they're on the defensive, establishing that round 5. Needing 2 more to finish it within regulation. And so far, this has been quite hectic. I mean, it came down to the few seconds. And of course, Asgard won just by the skin of their teeth.
And that is a round that hurts. That is a round that is a pain in the ass, as we so often call it. Just because we had the cruciality of saying, yes, we are in distress. We don't have much time left. But they should have taken themselves 3 more seconds of team communication, saying, wait for me until I'm in a proper position, because as soon as he swings you out, I'm not there to cover you. And that happens. He's a little bit too fast in with the Deimos of Bankers, trying to put the diffuser down. The other guy in the hands of Jacob isn't perfectly set in position to withhold that swinger from the corner coming in around. And what happens? Yes, of course, he picks up the first, and then how should it else be? The Vector picks back up with one final bullet to the head, and as we know, Siege isn't often a one bullet to the head headshot kill game, but in that case, it was enough damage done to gain themselves that refrag, and the refrag in counts of making a 1-1 scenario into a 0-0 scenario means defenders always win as long as the fuse isn't put down, and that so shall mean Asgard takes the cake. And once more, we have to say, we are taking more notes every single time. WiT isn't having an insanely big advantage. They're always figuring out ways of giving away these rounds. That was a poor round in fact of not having the right amount of team communication, as that round was pretty much safe and sat for WiT. But Asgard just having the luck a little bit on their side, I guess.
Poor round, good execution from, or just vice versa that. Good round, poor execution from WiT, which does end up being a loss to that 5-4 position. And we do have some pings out. Yet again, Asgard playing this top floor as you should. You know, going by the book, you really need to keep this ground very secure, tight, and of course, play it really religiously. The Buck from below, ready to make a play, of course, flush out some defenders and maybe force them away from that vertical if you should play against, or if you should just back off into a line of sight. Now, ignoring the top floor is going to be an interesting way of playing about it. You really take a fast step to this downstairs and look to make some progress to push out Klein, choke him out, and deliver that coup de grace to the head of his. Nice little shot, 1:35 on the clock. Now we have the gridlock tracks coming out, and of course, we got rid of one threat, but we have another on the line, which is going to be Senzo. Oh, he is going to be having some fun on his own, as Nokurio is going to be joining him as well. Banks having no response. Verticality is out, and you can test it, but at a wrong time, wrong position. Headshot opportunity missed. Yasuke, he delivers those pellets, and of course, it's going to be the gridlock following 6 foot under, and a second one from the SMG-11. Of course, the secondary is plenty enough for this one player to shut it down and deliver the final blow, as Asgard are going to be going into none other than overtime. No, match point.
And that
mix them up.
And that way we have Asgard up to match point, and we are definitely following the pattern. The pattern establishes itself after round number 3, as we saw. Okay, since round number 3, we had the pattern of Asgard winning 2, losing 1, winning 2, losing 1, winning 2. So that is the pattern. So in fact, now WiT should take one round in their favor to then lose 7-5. If the pattern is right.
We are having a bit of technical difficulties over with the clean feed, as you may be noticing as well. So while we're getting all of that sorted out in the background, you're gonna have to get some borrowed time in right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's match point, okay? It's 6-4. We can't let it go, but we do have 2 more maps upcoming. So for now, we're just gonna stop it. We're just gonna see how it all ends. I will be asking production if we're gonna be switching or if we're gonna be staying for now. Is everything fine? I think we have it back under control. Yeah, okay, nice. Well, nothing happened, okay? Just forget anything was said. In exchange, we're going to be giving you a beautiful match here because WiT, you know, they're on the lifeline here, Mighty. They either win out 2 in a row or it's first map to Asgard.
They definitely have to do every single thing that I have left in pocket now. And we see already the first ace of the sleeve has been pulled out by Bankers, as we have the main maniac for this season. We have the main maniac back in business. It is Blackbeard after his rework. Finally, another shield operator in the roster. If that was the answer everyone wanted in the community, I would say that was a big no. But we have it, we got it, we can't do anything about it, and it's another operator that we have to deal with. It's another operator that we can't so easy draw. But yesterday opens this round in his favor, making it a 5-4 opener for Asgard. And this round now is all about WiT taking it back. They need to focus up, they need to re-strengthen. They find a first kill on Bankus, but Ishak is the one to fall against Klein quite relentless ways back the way. Nokurio finds a kill on Shinji, and that is a 4-2 split. And I would say this round pretty much screams Asgard as of this moment.
It screams that exactly, but Vasi, oh, he puts his name out there. He screams as well, but he's screaming Yasuke's name in bloodshed and tears. He finds him. That's 1 down. It's a smaller deficit, and that's what we can work with, okay, WiT? You've already gained something. You have 1 player quite low. You have some time, and that's what you've been lacking in all these rounds. Can you make use of it just this 1 final time? You have 2 more rounds in a row to bring it to overtime and get yourself that second chance that you've been craving for. Asgard right now, they need to play it smart. I mean, it's quite obvious. They play this out a bit more too aggressive or swing when they're not supposed to, and it's going to be over. And that's what I'm talking about. Cause, of course, make sure that you're being very cautious and proceeding caution when playing up against WiT. Senzo, of course, makes it worthwhile for losing that 1 player. It's a 1v2 situation, 50 seconds on the line for map number 1. Of course, Nokurio and Senzo, are you enough to take out Vasi, the Thermite, the hard support? He's been there since round 1, and will he be there to clutch it out for WiT? Well, we're going to have to see. We're approaching site information is out. That's going to be the main camera coming in clutch, and of course the smokes as well, utility all being used because right now we don't have much C4s left remaining. Shots are coming out. That's going to be the MP45 delivering small bits of damage. It's not necessarily recognized as a good gun for a reason, but it pushes him back. 20 seconds. Come on, Vasi, we need to get it moving. Step left, step right, like a soldier that you have to. Laying down, you go for a pre-fire, you find your triple, but the last one is remaining where he shot you at last. Can you scout him out in time? 5 seconds are remaining. The smokes are going out, but does he go for a smoke? Oh, he does, and Senzo's going to be the one to finish him off. It was so close. He had it in mind. The idea was there, but in the end, he just couldn't get those shots right into the chrome dome of the final player. And Asgard, 7-4 into the first map, looking to continue maybe a 2-0 streak. Still possible to get a sweep in, although we're going to have to see that later on.
We gotta see that later on. As this map is concluded, 7-4 is indeed the win, and the pattern was also broken up, and that means, in the sake of us having to say thank you for the first map, we're definitely soon going into the second, is that indeed will be Border, the mapping of Team WiT. We have 1-0 lead for Asgard. They are pretty much set up. They want to clearly just completely wrap up this evening as fast as possible, so they will bring their very best for Border. But I'm intended to say WiT will look a little bit different on Border than they did on Nighthaven. Nighthaven was like their wake-up call, and they will pretty much been happily up and set for the next map. That's my intention, that's my hope, and I would say we will see each other right back on map number 2 after short break. And so we are back and ready for map number 2. We had a delightful first map back on Nighthaven Labs with a 7-4 win, stroken by Team Asgard against WiT. It was an intense battle into the mid section of the game, and then Asgard slightly picked off and maybe had their secured moments. And I would say we're definitely looking for that picks it up a little bit more, put a little bit more work, a little bit more team communication, a little bit also more intel gathering on their map pick of Border. What are your thoughts about the first map, and also maybe your intention of saying what do we see of it in the second map, my dear friend Puffo Bob?
Oh, I'm so like happy now that you said all of that. It's a tough decision, but I think Border is gonna play into WiT's strengths. Earlier, I mentioned, Asgard, they throw these 1-2s little punches just to WiT down. But WiT, they're the ones with the strength. They're the ones that really have the gunfire. I mean, we saw even wallbangs that had us asking for Mosh checks. I mean, at that point, you have to know that WiT, they're confident in their guns. And although Border, yes, it is, lenient towards it, it's not 100%. And although Asgard, I still see them having that 6-6, maybe a 7-5, I think WiT are going to be taking this if they keep up what they kept up earlier.
They got to keep up their work, and they will definitely also maybe have to scoop on a little bit more, as every single map that we're seeing every round just taking closer and closer to the finish line will just get harder and harder to win for your sake. And so I will just say we saw a quite, I would say, equal map section in the from the beginning until the mid of the match on Nighthaven, and I would say it would just get more and more tense now. I don't think we will have that insane pickup that we saw from Asgard in the late rounds on the first map now happening on map number 2, because we mentioned it a little bit earlier. Nighthaven is a fairly newer map. There's more happening. There are more like opportunities and abilities to take place in. Meanwhile, Border is an older map. All the chances have been done. All ideas have been drafted and also maybe have been tried on this map. So a little bit more back on the standard methods. And these standard methods, both these teams should know them quite well, and they should know how to play against them. But let's face it back, we are on the ban phase, and we're already seeing the first name of Monty. Will we sell we shall we see the next ban into the onto the shielder with the Blitz ban concluding? Since we had 3 shields banned out on the first map, I don't think we will go the same way this round. But with the Blitz and the Monty happening, do we see a clash? What is your thoughts, Puffo?
I don't think these teams like shields at all. I think there's maybe like some inner hate towards the poor triad of Rainbow Six Siege plates in front of face. And honestly, I'm expecting it. At this point, we've already gotten to, let's make it a 3 for 3. If we're already at that point, and now we're going to be getting rid of a different plate in front of your face, well, it's going to be the window, the one-sided window to be a bit more exact. And honestly, I can't blame them, seeing as quite how essential Mira was earlier and how really well complemented she is on Border. I'm not to blame anyone. Mira is a well-expected ban, as I'm going to be following the tradition of the prior match, but that leaves out the Clash Open, which I'm just wondering at this point, is anyone even going to play Clash on Border? We're going to have to see. We underway onto round 1. We go right over to it. It's going to be, of course, Armory and Lockers, because you'd be crazy to not pick out that side at first. While though some people do prefer Bathroom and to play on that verticality, I'd still consider this to be the site, for basically the jack of all trades site.
I would so much more say it just pretty much point out on teams if they are teams experts of playing verticals or if they like play more linear layouts, as this is the only, I would say, possible spot on this map that you can play on a linear basis. All other spots have to be played on verticals, as if you give away all the verticals from the beginning of the round, you will not have a standing chance, because you just give the opponent team enough time to do whatever they want of opening everything on the floor edge and have any type of look into and cut off every roam way and also every single spot where we just can have a chill position. So you have to play vertical except from that spot. That also calls it in as a more easier spot to withhold in defense. So that is also the main reason why this map, better said, that spot is the main picked spot for this map.
Without a doubt, and earlier, Mighty, if we do recall in the last round, we saw a devil make an appearance, one that had a recent rework, and MGWiT, they're going to continue it yet again. It's going to be from the last round of prior to the first round of this current present, none other than the Blackbeard and none other than the Gridlock. Aisha had taken very major damage, dropped down to the last third, and of course, that's going to be the Gridlock. You really want to keep that operator in as long as possible because, well, on an aggressive map such as Border, you tend to have a lot of flanks. You tend to have quite a bunch of them, C4s from below, you name it, and of course, the Gridlock strikes, they were quite a useful gadget, still having all in the pocket, and still Shinji putting some bullets out of his onto Clayton. Nice shots coming through. That's going to be the opening yet again, and finding out the Goyo, quite essential, especially seeing as what he could have been a danger to later on.
Could have been an immense danger. That's always given for sure, especially when you have seen what that play brought on the previous map so far. But that way, we have the opener happening for ViT. It's their map, and that's definitely what they were looking for. They do need to find these first clue lines of picking up the map and their sake of gaining a little bit momentum, and gaining a little bit more of, like, I was to say, tension. But they immediately lose it as Shenzo swings around. He gets one, he gets two, and he gets a triple. And that's way we only have the ace up his sleeve left alone. Gets the first, get the second, and that closing in onto a 2-1. Is it Bankus striking a legend call here with the reworked Blackbeard? Is this maybe the first big scene that we have in ESA history with a Blackbeard intense? C4 comes down but doesn't deal a lot of damage, and he's all alone. It's one more time. Don't give away these one-on-one scenarios. He's getting the next kill. It's a triple kill for Bankus. Will he make it a quad kill? It's Yasuke against Bankus, and he has the upper hand. And he does do it as he gains himself a quad kill, closing out the first round. What an insanely huge clutch with that new reworked, freshly Blackbeard.
Just like you said it, reaping off of their own benefits, and that's going to be round number way for MGWiT to swipe right under that rock. Now, Asgard, of course, earlier it was a similar position, but the difference here is that Asgard are now on the defense. Now, I'm going to be questioning how this is going to be working out in their favor, as right now, MGWiT, you know, the attackers tend to have a bit more of an aggressive lineup as when it comes to guns and gadgets alike. Keeping that in mind, we go to take a second round, a second chance, and give it a bit of a lifeline onto that top side, the office, I believe, as well, with the lockers. And, I mean, we're not going to be changing much. Asgard, we just need to switch up our playstyle. Yet again, way too many loopholes and open opportunities for MGWiT to punish you off of, as of course continuing up with that gameplay, especially on a map such as this, you know, on Nighthaven, where you have so much opportunities for you to loop yourself back around these enemies, get yourself to different positions, and in the meanwhile, also make sure to have a refrag left, right, and center. This is not similar. Border and Nighthaven are not similar a single tiny bit. The difference here is the aggression, the amount of opportunities that you show, and how many mistakes you can make, or how much less you can make than the enemy.
And that also once again shows why the Blackbeard maybe was intended to be picked out and is one way a big operator. You mentioned it, it's more about gunpowder here than it was on Nighthaven. It's a little bit more unforced, the playset here by ViT, as they just want to bring a little bit more tension to this game. They want to bring a little bit more mightiness into it, and that way, once way you can do that is with that Blackbeard. As we now have the shield, you're not afraid of moving in, maybe opening doorways a little bit promptlier, as you can just meet up the enemy's face first without the exception of being completely standing naked opened in front of them. That Blackbeard is definitely one of the bigger aces up their sleeves that you can possibly bring into Siege as at this moment, as you also see Shenzo and Ishak nearly cuddling there from the wall. Just in between them is Shenzo spotted out. No, he isn't. A ball is coming through from the window. C4 is coming out. Is C4 hitting? No, it doesn't, as Ishak is able to move away. I'm a little bit more convinced if Bankus is able to pick out one more this time. Ishan out. Ishak kills him out and trades him out. As Shenzo falls, it's a 4-4. And I would say the tension is really up with it, as they're doing a lot of drone work. They're just pre-placing themselves in good position to play these defenders out as a unit.
To drones wasted, Twitch gone with utility wise. Still have a bit more with that Claymore going. That's not going to be any more or less. Speaking of players, though, it's going to be Banks onto 2. Yet again, you say that Blackbeard is strong, and I'm going to agree with you. Just like Banks with a third right after. Yasuke completely brought down, leaving it all down to Yoshiro, who has such a strong gun. But when it's Ishak right now crawling on the floor, worming his way into sight and being an absolute snake, well, you have no response to begin with. Round 2 over to MG WiT. They claim out a second in the row, and this is how it was earlier. I mean, this is exactly how it went earlier. It was a 2-0, and then Asgard finally decided to step up their game, start climbing the ladder, and in the end, get a bit more of a traditional 2-1 in for themselves to get a deficit rolling in. Now, in the end, I mean, MG WiT, not a bad start. Yet again, can we continue it up consistency-wise is the main question, because earlier it started all falling apart. The second Asgard that got that switch of the flip in. Now we're back onto the third time because offices clearly won't be letting go of it so easily. We're switching up some operators, which I do like, maybe to counteract that vigil, or not the vigil, the Blackbeard, whatever the case ends up being. We speak of the operator, and that's going to be the vigil on Yoshiro as well. Baji, you know, if the enemies are going to be bringing guns, you might as well bring some of your own.
Definitely, and now we finally see after round number 3, both on round number 1 and 2, Banks was not picking out the Blackbeard all the way first. He just re-picked it. Now he is sat upon that operator now, but he is doing a re-pick. Is that good or is it not? We shall find out as this lineup with Ying in place, with Gridlock in place, does somehow tend to have a flair of saying this could be a fast planned attempt though. That means there shouldn't be a Blackbeard in terms, but it's really much all the way about how they want to approach it, as it doesn't seem like they want to do a fast plan play out here. But we have the Valkyrie downstairs. It's Yasuke down in detention. He needs to be spotted out because else it could be an immense and huge flank position given to Asgard. And Asgard really much, as you just mentioned, they need to wake up. They don't look good as Klein, though, finds a huge kill on the man himself, on Banks, the main top fragger here. Not having that Blackbeard, and he's completely blindsided. And it wouldn't have happened without Blackbeard, would it? Ooh, and Klein with the second kill.
Ooh, that's a good shot. That's a really clean shot. Yet again, he looks to find the third. He isn't good enough for it yet. Throws an impact, tries to catch a Pokemon himself with that Pokeball. But if you do not take Shinji's life here, it's going to be life or death. He brings Doomsdays. All Candelas are out. And oh, Senso, he comes out swinging right in the nick of time. Perfect. On the second, it's Yoshiro with the Bashi swinging out from each side, leaving it in a similar situation. Asgard now completely overtaking in a flawless fashion yet again, as Senzo will be putting that silver bullet right in between the eyes of this final remaining lion. Now, oh mighty, this is not good. MG WiT earlier 2-0, now it's 2-1. I'm starting to see a similar pattern.
I'm seeing a similar pattern myself as well, and it's scary, especially because Asgard, yes, they had a good round, but the immense amount of MG WiT just ignoring facts in the playout. They had a complete a little bit up hired foot line from CCTV playing against them from main breach, so they could not easily play main breach. Ignored, losing two guys and losing 1/2 of a health bar as well. 2.5 lives on one line of sight is way too much. Then you have the guy not picking up any sights from a window, being picked up for the closing of their round. Intensely also have a Ying not being fast enough, completely hanging up in the wide open on a window, throwing her Candelas that are completely useless. Yes, she could have entered, but there's no one that she wanted to cover, or maybe no one that could cover her on that attempt of getting in. Because I would say the plan was of smoking and flashing out the complete section of Sandwich, and then going for a smoke plant close on main breach. But WiT, as I mentioned, they completely ignored the facts. They couldn't have done it. The setup from Asgard completely played against that scenario, and WiT chose to ignore it, and they definitely lost the round. And one more time, and I hate to say, good strategic plan by WiT, but very poor in managing their keep-ups, especially with gathering facts for themselves. And that round was a complete throwaway.
Great way at linking events together, Asgard. real storytellers here. As of course, the second they tell the story of one being down, they're gonna get the second. But oh, it's the second one. The second team right now still in the lead. WiT to start it off, but Klein, he denies it from connecting onto anything. Another wallbang. It almost happened. It almost happened. And what didn't happen, in fact, was Shinji. Oh, not Krios. Yeah, you're gonna be 6 foot under. But so is it gonna be Banks. Asgard, a single player is lost. Well, we're gonna get it back. You know what? We're gonna double down on that deal, because if we lose 2, we're gonna be taking them down with you. 150, so much time has not passed, but at the same time, so many players have. Of course, it's a graveyard. Bodies are piling up. We already have 4 gone, similar HP standard, and of course,
Oh
the
no,
IQ.
oh no.
This is brutal. This is really strong. Oh my god, that looks so fast.
Yeah, we have a slight ick with having that walk glitch happening. C4 comes in, C4 is out. He doesn't know, in fact, that he's an IQ. Shinji outplaying that C4 quite well, so we only have one more explosive left. It's the end of Clean with a Connect Nade, but Chenzo is already up. He wants to gain some sights on some opponent. He gains himself a kill on Shinji, and that was the kill to gain the upper hand. Asking now in the lead, a man count with 3 in their own, but only 2 against. And I'm scared, as this WiT looks a lot of the WiT that we saw giving away rounds for free on Nighthaven. WiT definitely needs to wake up. They need to do some fact checks and regroup themselves as a team. They're a little bit too farly spread away, and these entries are way too crucial. They're completely over their heads. They're completely out of line, and they're giving away unnecessary scenarios with crucial playouts.
Would you drop a body instead of in front of Klein's bullets? Of course that Vector is going to take lead. Of course he's going to put the finger on the trigger and let it rip. It's a 1v3 situation, 20 seconds remaining, similar to what we saw in the last round of the previous match, going for pre-fire to down outplay. But Yasuke pulling out that control that this team has between each other. I'm really liking the way Asgard play. They're really close. They're aligned like stars in the sky, because when you take out one star, there's still that line in between that one player is going to make an effort to make sure that it is not lost for nothing, okay? We have a refrag after refrag. They chain up together in the end until they get what they want, or either completely lose it all. And Asgard, they may have lost out on the first 2 rounds, but they're surely not going to be losing out on the second 2, because it's an equalization, similarly to how we saw it earlier. Now, all I'm asking here is it going to be a 3-3, or are we going to be breaking the curse finally and hopefully going to a 4-2 composition for any of these teams? I mean, yet again, we do have to take into consideration that this is the best of 3, okay? WiT right now, they have a lot more on the line. They have the fact that they're going to be get thrown out of the bracket if they lose out this match. Asgard, they can just have an easier time, you know, make themselves a bit more reserved and finish it in 2-0 fashion, also showing domination and getting themselves a bit of respect, you know, a bit of those social credits, if you will. But WiT right now, you're down to the last wire. This is getting really close.
It's getting really close, and it icks me a little bit that we see a playstyle of WiT in the terms that we have seen now the past 2 rounds. They began very strong, gaining back a huge round turnover with an intense clutch here, deal by Banks with a Blackbeard. And I would say it somehow started, like you mentioned, on Nighthaven. WiT brings mayhem, forces mayhem upon Asgard, and then Asgard is back in from round number 3, and the points up beyond of putting WiT back in their place. And Asgard is determined of saying, your place is below us, and we will demonstrate you why. And the demonstration we saw in round number 3 and round number 4 were immense, as once again Asgard shows round after round after round that they lose, that they prompt bring answers and conclusions of closing out things. And now we have finally have the first gunfights in a decade with turning out individuals and just trading out. Banks now gaining that upper kill, but he really gets straight out. And look at these controls of recall control. Ibayoshi returned the favor back, and it is so fast. The game is so much more faster paced on board than it was on Nighthaven, and the pace is now not speaking for WiT anymore, as Asgard has definitely picked up their pace themselves, and they're able and ready for every single gunfight coming in upon them.
This is what I mean. Asgard, they lose on one player. WiT, you're bound to have a mafia of Asgard players right after your tail unless they have that deficit, leveraging their own side to be in their own favor. 3v2. Yet again, they picked it up. They have dethroned WiT of what they had for their own. Now they're completely off the line, and they do have some time, which normally wasn't the case in the previous match. But this is a different one. It's border different playstyle, different ways of playing. Asgard, they tend to give away players quite easily, but they tend to give them back even better. They tend to get them back stronger than ever, and this is what we're playing in. A good swing out from Yoshiro, so unexpected. Who would expect a Goyo to be swinging out from nowhere, just on the fly? You know, it's a bit of a drive-by for the player. C4's coming out from below, and of course the Valkyrie is going to be punished for making some careless actions. Going off of sound cues, not the best in Rainbow Six Siege, not at all times. 40 seconds remaining, we need to make a play. You have shots from the right, and it's Yoshiro with the final shot in. That's going to be a quad kill for the singular player, completely carrying it on his back. And Mighty, Asgard are now 3-2.
Asgard is 3-2, and I would say somehow I have a feeling like if we should be realistic, Asgard has picked up and WiT has completely fallen off after round number 3. It should be a 4-2. But I have the slight feeling of WiT just witnessing some, I would say, a small gap in the play of Asgard now in round number 6 of taking it to a 3-3. So we'll have the same equal split that we had on the first map. But if Asgard slips in upon and take these gunfights they had just done in that round prior, but also Klein and Yoshiro not being afraid of any gunfights anymore, they will have a 4-2 split. But I have to say once again, it's completely icky me in all ways possible the way of WiT build-ups. WiT had a more close build-up, played it as a unit, they gathered information, they moved in, and the beginning of the round looked very similar as that. They gained intel and they played into it as a unit, refragging each other. But then, as they tried to and began to fall off into the first entries, they were spreading away from each other. There was no way of them giving perspective of playing together and maybe refragging each other. And once again, it's a blind walk-in. It feels so steady, but hey, hear me out. This one, good beginning for WiT as they gain the first opening frag. But it's scaring me a little bit. They're often spreading too far away from each other, not being able to play alongside each other, help each other out. And every single time when they're getting swung by the defenders of Asgard, it feels so static. They're too slow. The reaction time is not on their side whatsoever.
Asgard have definitely been punished for their plays, but have managed to have WiT on the receiving end by the end of the day. Now, oh my god, I am just unimagining that Shinji right now is craving for those dock stems, just like the gridlock that is now completely taken out. Yoshiro is lost, well, you're going to be losing one of your own. That's what Asgard's motto is. A gunfight coming out, but Banks finally wins it out. Are we going to be having a switch of tradition? Hopefully, Yasuke taking low amounts of damage, but at the same time going for a C4 from below. It's going to be expired information and not climbing onto any kill, which could have been a tie changer into this round. It's back-to-back mistakes here, Asgard, and we need to switch it up. The wavelength, it's really getting disrupted, and as long as you don't have that new jammer within your reach, well, it's going to keep going that way, which it leaves it down to 4. One player here against 4 for WiT. You play to the corner, and you play to the bullets of Vasi. You sure that spells good bad news, and of course, finally, that 3-3 is brought about, and if this goes the exact same way as Night Heaven did, honestly, I will be jaw-dropped.
And now I have to say, the main fact that I just presented to everyone out there, WiT played alongside each other as a unit, walked in together, played it as a unit, were able to withhold crosses together and also be in position to refrag each other if that should be the case of happening. Same thing, drawn a little bit more. They gain themselves multiple positions to play alongside each other. Okay, we're moving in from that section, withhold a position on the window so they can't cross and just face us. As we've just seen proudly that Asgard plays it very aggressively in their own defense, and they're not afraid of just roaming in and taking these gunfights and just get in front of face of these attackers. Now they played it a way that immediately if Asgard wants to do that once again, they'll be forced to. They may get one kill, but they won't get a second. Or if they make the second kill, they won't get the third. That is what I talked about. WiT did it with a more facts in pocket, with more intel to be played out with, and they like took their time to reposition, regroup, and then move it alongside each other. That gained them the huge advantage and also pushed them in. Alongside another fact, if Banks would have been bringing in that Blackbeard more rounds, I'm definitely indeed of saying if they played out round 6 the way they should have played it in round 4 and 5, this scoreline wouldn't happen. WiT gave away a lot of potential in these previous attacks, and I can't seem to get why.
I can't either, and it's not the fact we understand the grasp of what the situation is, right? WiT, they have the potential to win out every round dominantly. They just seem to have a bit of a 50-50 each time. I mean, they should be dead to rights with it, although they lose it out themselves because of blunders, major ones at that. And in the end, that's where Asgard, takes a bit of a slipstream in to that opening, get themselves that round, and then continue expanding off. In the meanwhile, oh, Shinji, we've seen them ballers come out. Send zone, absolutely no response. Just like Yasuke, a double onto Shinji as he's not only got an explosive kill, but an even more explosive one is going to be Oshiro, finally taking out the player. It took 2 for 1 to be taken clear, and now it's down to this 1 minute and 30 as Yoshiro, he finds himself the second. This is what I'm talking about. WiT, you had such a great advantage given to you by Shinji alone. Why do you throw it to waste? Why do you go for swings such as these on 90, which could be ending in terrible results? Massey, he finds Yoshiro yet again, finally touching down on that final player. Kyle Lane finally going in. It took us a bit to push up towards that medal, but in the end, we get that kill. That's what's so important. 2v2 here. Asgard can bring it back, or WiT can finally break the curse.
I would say it's somehow, especially what you just mentioned, they have a good pickup, they have a good start, and then immediately they want too much out of the given scenario. They do it a little bit too forcefully, and they just, we're not playing this out smart. We just play it out in a way of we want, and we want more. And if you can't get enough, it's some often then in that moment it strikes against you, and that's what's happening here. It completely bites back. And that way we have themselves in a 2-2 scenario. Good shots here against Nokrios, as there's a huge Pika's advantage here given by MG, and it's all about where they can hold their positions. The first interactions will come as there are only 20 seconds after the yellow pings are coming in. It's all about who wins that gunfight, and basically just all the way back into Beaver. Why do you withdraw your position in that scenario? But it's Banku's winning that scenario. He gets the call. There's one guy out of Beaver. He is low HP. Lucky bullets there, and then the Buck needs to walk in and immediately gets caught off guard. Luckily, chain of happenings for MGB, as Bankus, not as his teammates, isn't slow on reaction time, but he's fast enough of gaining these 2 double kills quite double fast.
Asgard now having the stars stolen from their eyes by WiT as they were looking to have a similar situation, a bit of a rinse and repeat since Nighthaven Labs. But of course, WiT dodge and weave. They have a final play that we love seeing, that positioning and those mistakes that are a bit more common on Asgard's side being finally punished by WiT. It took us a while to get here, but in the end, we didn't. And that's what matters. It's not too late. And of course, the race has not been ran yet. Now it's a 3-4. Okay, WiT, let's settle down. Although we haven't been seeing much tactical timeouts from both of these teams, which I believe we saw like one up until now on Nighthaven. Get them more in, okay? These teams need it to reset that tempo, to get yourself back on where you started. Of course, adaptation wise, it would be quite nice to see, as of course it would work out in your favor. There's a reason there's a free tactical timeout per map for each team. Okay, use it. It's a bit of a choke point against the enemy, so might as well. It's free. Doesn't cost you a single bit besides useful information and, of course, to get yourself back on ground level. As we undergo on to round number 8, we see the dock in play, which I am loving for a map such as Border. You go into a gunfight, you get brought out with, 2 HP? That dock is gonna be the actual medic. It's gonna be the lifesaver, okay? Really putting that into words. But we also have to take in consideration that this is gonna be a bit more vertical play, although I'm just wondering if Asgard are gonna take that in for themselves, or are we going to be seeing a bit more of a rush? That's the thing indicating it.
From the lineup that is brought to the table from this action, it doesn't quite look like a fast fly. But if you look at the positioning, it much more is, as we are pushing in, but we're not getting the kill. Ishan is on position to lock it down, but they're just moving through and they're moving in. Nokrios finds through on the Ishan, and he finds the next kill onto Banks. That way we are completely on side. Now it's all about if we get the kills drawn back. As Ishak finds the next one, Yasuke finds Shinji. It's all about the story of Ishak. Ishak, is he able to lock down 3? The plant is going down. That was intended of being a fast push, and the fast push definitely worked. And as also Yoshiro has the sound cue in his pocket, it isn't down, and so it must be upstairs. And the upstairs is spotted out immediately, and the kill is being drawn in. And so we have a complete, I would say, pattern fixture. It's equal to the pattern that we had on Nighthaven, and it's completely running back. It's all about who wins round number 9, because the team that won round number 9 won the previous map. So if we shall follow a pattern out of the previous map, we need to be determined of saying round number 9 winner is the map winner.
Just for context, I would love to agree with you, and I secretly am agreeing. I just don't want to caster curse anyone, okay? One caster saying good is already enough. 2 casters saying good, God help us. As of course everything unfolds before us, I love that Asgard. I think this is also the first time we're seeing a switch of pace in just one round, like a snap of your fingers, you know, faster than even that. Faster than you can say the word Rainbow Six Siege, or that's actually 3 words. You know what I mean. You know, Asgard, they went from 0 to 100. They went from 0 to hero because in 1 second they were playing a bit more passively, a bit more lenient back, going for those cutoff rotations, going for cutoffs in general. All of a sudden, you find yourselves within sight in the first 30 seconds, rushing down players and also connecting everything, not only from the upstairs side to be a distraction, also information gathered, because that 4th player being taken out from Asgard proved to be some information, because the Vigil, you know, you take out a player, everyone's going to know you're there. Everyone's going to be on the lookout. And what I'm on the lookout for is these aggressive plays that are so common on Border. Speaking of which, it's the first time, again, so many first time for everything here. We're seeing such aggression from Bankers as he's going to be taking one down. Of course, finishing the job just like he started it on that Swamp Peak.
And we have talked about it so often. It is these peakest advantages. Yes, you have a window angle. The window is deep in with the barricade, so the barricade is very often blocking off the hitbox from the defenders. So you never reload close to window, because there can always be a C4 popping out, or if he swing close onto the window angles, he will get some looks on your hitbox, and that is the done for Bankus. But Bankus got to smell some of his own medicine as he got pushed and mad up by both Necros and also Shenzo, as Shenzo moves in, and now they've drawn that ace out of their sleeve for their own sake, as the Blackbeard has entered Team Asgard.
Oh, this is not looking good. Mighty, we already mentioned it. WiT are the ones to pick it up, but they're the ones to also drop the ball. Not for much longer, as of course, that's going to be the MP5. Yet again, I love that gun. One of the most satisfying ones. Again, Noctrio hoping he would have had a Doc on his team, although Finka wouldn't be incorporated into this lineup this time around. 1 minute and 20, we're looking to get some verticals out. That's why we love to have the Buck online. But again, it's the same side we played earlier, and we don't have that heads up of, hey, we're going to be rushing into sight and taking it all and completely ignoring this type of verticality. Now we have to play against it, and with it, hoping it works out in our favor. Oh, a push-up from the Doc could be deadly. It shouldn't be expected. We also could have pre-placed drones. That's something, the ifs and buts of if this goes wrong, what are you going to be leaving your team with? Well, definitely some sort of deficit. And do we want to risk it? Pre-fire's coming through. He backs off nicely. It wasn't big of a gamble. It was just something with some risk. And in the end, you know, it worked out. He got away safely and just maybe disturbed Asgard for a second. But they're still focused and really lenient on finishing what they started. This verticality hatches are out. We have one pushing down east, and in the meanwhile, that's going to be the diffuser, although having to head check everything won't be safe. Shinji takes a lot of damage, but Klein takes more, as Yasuke is going to be delivering even extra. Vasi finalizing the second player, just like Yasuke. Now it's a 1v1 situation. HP is nowhere close, but we have the Warden somewhere completely else. It's not to be expected, and the main camera is going to be giving off position, and we're taking it down. We have to reserve some seconds, and also some information. Pre-fire's coming through. Yasuke, you have to stick it through. You should have been doing that since the very start. It gives Shinji enough time to crawl up behind your back, and that's gonna be it. MG WiT, they get round number 9, and Mighty, if it goes according to our formula, or your formula, you know I won't be taking any credit, this should be MG WiT's map.
This should be MG WiT's map, but we have to say, yes, they won round number 9, but that isn't all the way done. They still need 2 more rounds, and there's a far way to go. It's at least 6 minutes away. And I have to say, Asgard will try their very best. Once again, WiT had a huge start, was turned down, immediately picked up back the pace with an insanely well-prepped C4 with the Blackbeard stepping into that, and that man Sanjo out of that round, equalizing it down. And that, from that perspective, it didn't look good for Asgard. Asgard then picked up the pace back again, just showcasing that they every so ever are able to pull back with another hit on MG WiT. And then, happily scenario, low HP. He had a split second where he looked away, then the Warden came around and took that kill into the gunfight and saying, I will take these grounds for my team no matter what. The dedication is real, the dedication was good for WiT. Now they took the lead, and it's not or never all about are they able to face it off and showcasing it that they are not able only to take in leads, but also locking them down.
Asgard on the defense didn't like the Blackbeard not a single bit. So they're ready to have some retaliation brought about, as it's going to be Senzo on that exact same operator. Now, Asgard, is your craft really good enough to break this pattern? Are you going to be the ones to break MG WiT and fold them under the pressure? We're going to have to see. It's round number 10. These are the double digits. Ladies and gentlemen, it could be a possible overtime, maybe unlimited. Maybe we could be here for an extra 17 hours. Who knows? We're not ones to stop the show, but you know who are? These teams deciding who takes away the victory, and this could be the round to do it, or we could be going to a decider, which is going to be Skyscraper. Dangerous for both, as of course it's going to be the last chance to claim it out. Drones coming out, not only Twitch, but of course, normal drones for information, and that Flores just completely shutting down all sorts of utility. That's why it's so strong. I would consider this to be an even smarter call of the drone, Marta. Yoshiro, he is going to be punishing one. You turn your back to the enemy, you even showcase it, and of course you're going to get shot directly on it. Nakrios, he finds one. Klein with the third. It's left out to 2 players onto MG WiT as they are completely shut out. Wallbangs coming left, right, and center, and Yoshiro right in front of you as he's going to be the one to make sure this is going to be none other than a flawless yet again for Asgard to bring it back.
And that way we have pattern destroyed for this map, so we're not following the same pattern that we had so far. Yes, WiT is still able to win it out, but what did WiT do wrong? Yes, they did every single aspect that they just fixed in the recent rounds wrong all over again. They're being over-peaking, they move a little too much, they stand themselves up in open wide positions where they have no coverage, they have no position of teammates being able to cross in and maybe help them out. And they completely do one after one after one 1v1 given to the opponents. And what happens? Ask it as they stand alongside each other, they take it in. They take every single pace slip that is given by WiT of saying, okay, take our plays out. We will just give them to them, and they say, okay, I'll take 1, I take 2, I take 3, I take 4, and then I will take the 5th straight into my pocket. It is too easy for Asgard. If WiT has a game strategic plan of playing it out that way, they can say bye-bye already. They need to focus up. They need to do the things that they just previously fixed all the way back up again, as they just completely threw this round away once again.
It's not looking good. I see that MG WiT yet again. I've said it before, and I'll say it again if I have to. They really have the potential. They have a good foundation. I just don't know where it all falls apart, because they get the skeletal in, and then they start building those walls, but the painting, it just collapses, and they can't finalize the job through. That's what gets me so scared when they're playing up against teams such as Asgard, who really puts those openings into their own benefit as much as possible and get these exemplary shots and also rounds in. Seeing that 5-5 is definitely coming about, and that 4 versus 5 out by Ishak, who is going to be finding Yasuke, who keep in mind, has really been a strong shot out. But what a shot out from Asgard. Yet again, they're delivering the bullets way better than MG would ever could have. It's a 2-for-1 deal, but just as Ishak has to say about it, he returns the fire for one more, and can he bring the deficit in their favor yet again? It's going to be down to this 1v1 situation initiated in any second. Right now, peeking out is going to be both of these players coming out from pre-fires. You're going to be backing off, taking some damage, but at least you're alive. Keep that in mind. Survivability is key, especially when you're looking to claim as much people as possible. Secondary on Bankage. He finds out Claim. That's going to be finalizing the job onto the Twitch. Two players remain, Senzo and Nakrios. Right now, you need to finish out one, but it's you who find yourselves into the casket, completely built for you, nicely set up. The Goose coming out, right to throw on your side. 130. You don't have a problem with time. You have a problem with how much guns you have to carry and also help out when going up against the entirety of 3 players on MG WiT ready to execute on order. Now we have the shotgun on close range. It's a very satisfying one. Comes out swinging, doesn't execute, but oh, it's going to be a second time that does it. The shell, it didn't connect on the first one at best. It didn't finalize the job, but oh, when that second swing comes out, it's surely going to be the one to bring us to round 12, and also, Mighty, the one to bring us to match point.
They want to bring us to match point, and this match point is talking to MG WiT. Now they do. They fixed it. Not every aspect, but the most of it. And they do things right. They move themselves in position of saying, okay, I got complete trouble. I got pressure put onto my shoulders here. I need someone to help me out. Immediately, Bankus is on the roam, moving all the way back into East, moving out, and also doing a crucial jump run out, gaining himself a huge pickup kill here with a secondary, taking off a lot of the pressure put onto his teammate, makes him able to move away and roaming back on site, just regrouping with the teammates. And then you have like the position of playing it together as a unit, playing it together with team communications, and that is what happens if Asgard is alone. Yes, they have yellow pings, they have red pings, but they can't have these helping out positions as they had to draw down that round. But now, once again, prompt answer by WiT, and it's all about, once again, are they able to close out? We know for a fact that WiT had some recent main struggles of closing down rounds. They needed round or two. They needed an attempt or two to close out. Now they don't have an attempt or two. They need to close out now before they want to go to that overtime section. Because overtime here, we have said it before, and we will say it again, is unlimited. And it means you need to win 2 straight rounds. It isn't 3 rounds and you're finished. If you're, I would say if you're not in your luck, you have potential 20 to 40 rounds of overtime sitting against you. And if that happens, it's all about the exhaustion in a team and how much duration you have left and how much energy there is in the tank of taking that match in your favor.
Now rolling the dice. Asgard, just praying it's going to be a natural 20. Desperately looking for any sign. This could
he's onside.
Oh, wait, what? This is... Oh my god, when did this happen? I was talking about that natural 20 that Asgard have already claimed it right under our noses. Well, under mine specifically. As Senzo, he finds one, but finds himself as well taken out the next second. That was a huge play. I don't know how Asgard pull it off. You know, they're quite sneaky in their moments, but not when you have a UMP 45 player on the loose. OMG, WiT, they completely taken over. It didn't matter. They ride the wave and they ride it till the very end. As this, unless Klein manages to pull off a miracle that we saw with Senzo, ultimately it's 7-5, and I'm calling it out right now, Mighty.
Okay, so huh? Am I allowed to react the way that I reacted? Like, he was on site and nothing happens in the hands of Asgard. Asgard is known to be a fast-moving team. They were on site. The call must have come through that they're on site, but nothing happens. Everything turns statics, and immediately you give WiT the complete time they need to roam back all the way into site and regain the access. Nonetheless, you give Ishan the proper back entry onto site of just making it a triple kill, cleaning out. He's not afraid of taking any gunfights. I don't know what happened, but Ishan immediately out of nowhere turned completely sure about himself and moved in through. You move into the side, clean that one, get the second YP, and then he just moves through forward into bathroom and gains another kill with a reflex sight on an MP45. Yes, MP45 is still a good gun, but some often, if you don't hit your bullets right, you have no standing chance against the most ARs in the attackers. But he doesn't care. He just moves through and gains himself a triple kill. What a huge ball play there, gaining himself not only the upper hand, but securing that round. And I would say I had my doubts about ViT closing issue, but Isha locked down and said, closing issue, never heard of it before, as he turned it into a 1-1, nearly all by himself, with a huge regainer on the side that never should have happened.
I don't know how MG Wit let that happen in the first place, and I don't know how Asgard managed to get the idea in the first place. But, we're talking about wonders, and both teams had one. But talking about ones, they're both one up on their map count. Now, this is a best of three, and we have one more following the big decider who continues in the lower bracket to the lower bracket semifinals and who is left and booted off the camp in the lower bracket quarterfinals. But stay tuned because we're going to be back with that exact match deciding it all in just a moment.
See you soon.
Well, I mean, it's the start of an operator ban phase. We've riddled it down from a best of three to a best of one. Now we're gonna leave everything in the past and move on to the present, as it's still me, Puffer Bob, joined alongside the lovely Mighty Ryujin. And well, how are we looking into this final match of today?
We're looking into a banger. We are having Skyscraper, the pure menace of every best of one. As you just mentioned, we have turned a best of three into a best of one. We've gone all the distance, all the way into the decider, and we're in the ban phase. And of course, what way else it should be? The operator has done so much mayhem for both these teams is banned at first. As MG says, we're beginning in a side that maybe roughens it up a little bit. We are playing attack on Skyscraper. That means we're banning out Blackbeard. I don't know if that is the take, to be honest, as Asgard doesn't have so much intel gathered and also so much impact with a Blackbeard. In the upper hand, though, MG had a lot of impact with that Blackbeard. So if that ban is favoring them, I definitely wouldn't say so. If we look into the other bands, Monty, Mirror, very much understandable. We had a lot of mirror play happening on the first map, definitely giving the reason why it's banned out now on map 2 and 3. And then we are having back the clash. A lot of downsized categories and opportunities to go together in on these certain areas. You only have one doorway or one window often to jump into a certain location. And if that's blocked off by a clash, it's definitely giving you a hard time. So these bans all the way concluded to give myself some determination that these bans have been fought through, and they're a little bit tactical, but they're also very opponent targeted.
Yeah, that's about as basic as it gets. I mean, it's literally just the results of the first two maps that we saw. The first one, Mirror was dominant, we get rid of her. The second one, the Blackbeard, was a horror character, we get rid of him as well. But what that leaves for us is the operator that's been constantly banned now open for opportunity, the Azami. Oh, I'm going to be loving seeing that character in play. Not just as of yet, we do have that Fenrir, we have the Mazu, which has also been being brought out quite a bit more recently, or in the recent features. And in the meanwhile, round one underway. The first one of this decider. First blood also dropped over by the side of Shinji, as he's going to be left with about 60% if we go about percentage-wise. And assuming it's going to be about a bit off of that spawn peak, you also must not lose out on that Grim. And I spoke about that Azami being able to be picked off. Or actually picked up now because she's not banned. The same operator is going to be that Blitz, but Bankers, he doesn't need the protection from that operator. He just needs to rush up these stairs and get that Formula 1 mindset into his brain, rush through and gun everyone down.
And he came back up the backhand staircase all by himself, no coverage, no one to be in the position to help him out. And he gets left alone. He should have opened and just withdrawn in a position as there was no one near him possible to help him out. He could have just easily withdrew his position out onto the balcony, but that way it leaves us with a 4-4. And just look at the push that Ishan is moving in with the blitz. He's getting some help by Ishak, but Ishak is taken out by Klein, and that blitz is just moving through it. Now it's all about that the blitz isn't peaked and called out so fast. Also, Vasey now is inside. Vasey could drop in for that diffuser, but Vasey's killed out with a C4. Yashiro jumps out and gets Ishan, and it's all about the last kill, and that is Shenzo putting out the kill. And that way, we have ourselves the first round secured by Asgard. You're hanging a little bit too long outside on the window. You gain yourself the intel of saying, okay, they're planting on standard position, C4 up and verticals. Beautiful outplayed by Asgard to do it as of the strategic books given for Skyscraper.
Now, we changed it up a bit. As earlier, yet again, I look to keep everything in the past, but there are some things I need to reference, and it's that it's always been WiT on the opening side. They've always been the first ones to unveil the curtains, as this time it's Asgard, the first one on the defense. Definitely understandable, but still, it's a bit of change of tradition. Now, of course, this is only round one, but we don't have to take into account that these teams need to adapt to each other. They played together plenty for today. So now we just need that seasoning of seeing who's going to be making more mistakes and who's going to be executing and judging who based on those exact mistakes. Now, to get out with a kill here, we need those openings that Asgard have really been strong with getting after they've been picked up. WiT, they get that opening. Asgard, they get two back. It's been a bit of a trade-off between the two, and it has definitely had its changes here and there, but in the end, I mean, Asgard, they've won out the first map better than WiT did by one round. I mean, it was 7-4, then 7-5 for WiT, so we can definitely take that into account. Although different map, different playstyle, and of course, different operators.
Definitely takes them in the perspective, and we always got to keep these stats in mind. Either said as well, we have to say Skyscraper is one of the more defender-sided maps that we see, so it definitely favors Team Asgard immensely, and which has a major challenge of putting pressure through, and not only pushing pressure on the Asgard players, but already once again showcasing that they can lock down rounds. They not only need to be able to move in, they need to be able to move in and lock down these operators, as there's very often they're standing a little bit too open, and they make it possible for these defenders to roam back and regain access, as Nokrios gains themselves a double kill clay into the next one before Nokrios gets drawn out. No, we have still lost a lot of ground in the hands of Asgard, but we have the upper hand. We have one more guy alive. It's a 3 against 2, but we have the better positions to mock these players out. They still are far away. They're losing a lot of time of figuring out where we are. Have we completely withdrawn our positions or have we not? And that definitely favors the playing cards of Team Asgard.
Kicking things off more than Asgard has ever up until this point. Right now, they're going to continue that streak as Yoshiro, oh, the beautiful headshot, immaculate onto Bankas, as he's going to be leaving the hard support, left all alone, stranded to fight against 3 very hungry wolves, ready to claim their prize and their prey at the same time, as now you're being hunted down. Are you going to be allowing this to be also the downfall of you, Asgard? We've seen that WiT do like to throw bodies out. Now, Asgard, I hope you don't end up doing the same random bread loaf thrown out. Not much. Maybe just distraction for audio cues, whatever the case is. Right now, we need to be on the move, and we need to start stepping up those steps right now. One player isn't going to be enough to equalize it out. We need 2 here, Ace. Vasi, you've been quite prominent on those kills, and we've seen the aggression is definitely with you, like the Force, some would say, but we don't have that time to waste. Sticking around, trying to find out won't be the answer, but Yoshiro surely will be giving it to us. 2-0 initiated. WiT 2 down for the first time in this type of starting opening phase, and the narrative now slowly turning towards Asgard. As what changed? What really happened on Skyscraper that is giving Asgard this edge over WiT?
Some way a little bit speechless, especially out of the given scenario that in the hands of WiT, you're entering a little bit too crucial, a little bit overpaced. You gain them yourself an opening frag when immediately then you're staggered upon of just being standing still. You leave it in a static way and there's like no more movement forward. It's just some way of it just stops right at that moment. And I pretty much have to say that Asgard is doing everything that they can to make this round look good for them, as they're establishing multiple, I would say, headlines or vision lines so they can hold the same angle from different positions. Because if you have a 1v3 scenario, you have one opponent having to face 3 positions. If you can withhold the same position that he might come from when you have a call or a yellow play or something, he may look down on one, but he can't look upon position 2 and 3 at the same time. And if you spread them a little bit further away, as of this position, we had the Vamai in Dragons behind the shield, and we have the Frost all the way back onto Minibar. There are 2 completely differentiated positions. You get maybe one he focused on Vamai. Vamai was not peeking. Frost was peeking actively. It was not until only Frost. Frost gets a free kill. Beautifully done by Asgard, not leaving anything overpaced, playing it cool, playing it chill down, and saying, we got these cross angles, let them play.
Bit more of a broad gameplay here we're seeing right now. We may be experiencing some difficulties over by the side of production, but we're getting those right underway. Of course, fixes are coming out as fast as these players are ready to shoot their bullets and make initiations come through. We have all 5 players on each team still ready and steady, ready to make a contribution to have the game pivot into their direction. Now, as we look forward to it, the lineups right now are looking really aggressive, not only from the side of Asgard, as we do see the Fenrir and, of course, that GOAT, the Oryx, really known for those quick end plays, but that Ying and Ash combination puts the fear in my eyes personally, as I don't know what it's going to do to Asgard. And we speak of those exactly. It's going to be the R4C, of course, the Ying LMG claiming out 2 hits. Well, one is going to be body shots, the other one's going to be headshot, but it's going to be kills nonetheless. Advantage in one side, of course. 2 players remain for Asgard, as in the meanwhile, this is going to be a bloody hell time here, as it's going to be the last one standing. Senzo, what do you have to say for yourself? Yoshiro left you standing completely alone in the dark, and I mean, there's no response that Asgard can make that can be so influential to turn it all around. You have to play against a flawless, and with it, WiT will be taking it with themselves and finally claiming a round back, like always Asgard did.
And somehow we say the first answer, you mentioned it, Asgard picked up the first rounds now for the first time in this matchup. And what happens? They gain themselves 2 rounds. It's magical round number 3, where the first comeback scenarios happen. They turn it back, and they don't turn it back on one a simple way, but they do it on a flawless one. And a flawless in that scenario gives lifestyle, it gives motivation, it gives one of the most important things. It gives confidence in yourself, in not only in yourself as a player, but also in the strategic plans of your team. And it gives confidence in your IGL, and that is so important. And every single round that you win in the attack here on Skyscraper is paying you back double, maybe not, also triple the amount that you could possibly imagine for this map, as this map is so defender sided, and every single round you can take in an attack is giving you so much motivation for your own defenses on the second half.
Well, these teams really need it, right? That motivation, that energy to keep you going. I mean, both of them have been craving it. Although in the end, it comes down a bit more to gameplay, as of course we're going to have to see how it all works out. Now, we're still into round 4. It's a bit more in the early phase, construction underway phase type of gameplay right now, as we're looking to establish some sort of rounds count. We either get back to that third 3-3 that we always manage to return to somehow, or we season it up with a bit of spice and maybe have a 4-2. We've changed the outcome once. Can we change it again? We're going to have to see, as of course one of these teams need to get back in the driver's seat. This is going to be a bit more difficult to do, as of course up until now no players have been lost, but we have some changes in the lineup that have been quite prominent, especially on MG WiT with bringing out that blitz.
Bringing the blitz once all over again, and it's so important that they bring like these still matter-ish operators, as you saw partly. Asgard isn't prepped and ready every single time when you bring operators like that. They are more prepped for if you're bringing lineups that are a little bit more standard, and they are playing a little bit slower. As soon as you bring pressure and pace into the game, Asgard begins to struggle. And when you put pressure on them, like also in round number 4, they begin to fall apart. They begin to crumble a bit because you force them to move, you force them to go in these interactions with you, and then you move them on and maybe also mock them out. And Isha not only gets himself the next kill into terrace, but he moves through without stepping into these crosses of that foot line from that Geisha spot. We have a 4-2, it turned into a 4-1, and it's a shield operator against Isuki. Isuki gains the kill onto that shielder. And that, once again, it's crucial. Isha gains the kill, though, makes it a 2-2. But Isha, in my favor, is way too slow. Isha pushes him out. He gives live calls where he is, and you're still standing out the double window. That's not the call, my friend. You got to move in. You got to help out your teammates, because that one, once again, it is a 1v1 scenario that you could have easily dropped into a 2v1 scenario, but you rather think and say, and you choose to do it 2 times a 1v1 scenario. Luckily for this time, you won it out. But if you wouldn't, you would definitely have got some smack on your name.
We need. Yeah, we will just call out that maybe some of you have been noticing a bit of technical difficulties. Of course, we've been on the same receiving end. So after this round, after round number 5, once it finishes up, we will be having a technical pause just to solve this and get back to your overall usual great production quality as we're all used to. But up until then, I mean, we do still have some things to put out, because Asgard, we need to stand our ground just a tiny bit more. You're in the same position that you were given on this first map. You lose out the first 2 maps and you gain them back. Why is it a vice versa? I have absolutely no clue still. But whatever Skyscraper did, whatever that break between maps and that mentality going into the decider happened to be, it has been such a huge changer that in the end, I mean, the party's just getting started. It's still into this first half, and while we're still looking to finish out and maybe get a hopeful 4-2, this is where that essential round comes in. Whoever claims out a draw, at least that 3-2 composition on the round count, is definitely going to be looking a bit more safe going into the second half, because they're not going to be going in with a negative, right? It's either a 3-3 or a 4-2 for them. So only up from there, but we still need to get to be a bit more fresh out of the oven into the second half, as of course when those roles swap, I'm saying it's going to be absolute chaos.
It will definitely be absolute chaos. And the major thing here is you need to look in and ask it really need. They had the opportunity, they had like the card of saying we won the first map, now we can chill down a little bit. They didn't chill down too much. Well, they then slacked off a little bit now in the opening section here into going into the mid category section of the first half. And they lose grounds, but they immediately pick up. They knew for a fact, okay, we have completely let ourselves down and let back into the game, and we need to answer promptly, and the answer came. Now gaining back the lead with the 3-2, and now they need to focus up. They got to do something on helping themselves withhold that lead and also build it out and just make that lead conclude further out. As they now have a 3-2 lead, it's one more round in their half. They're in the defense. They need to win that 6th round, because as you just mentioned, if we go back to the 3-3 category stand that we have had so far this matchup, it doesn't look good for Asgard. I know for a fact ViT is ready to drop it in defense on this map, and Asgard pretty much should get their every all to gain that 4th point in round number 6, because else it could be drastically harsh for them to come back.
It's tough to say, mostly because of it's been so unpredictable. Although there has definitely been a leading pattern, but these teams, they've had the rounds, they had their cons, and of course their pros as always. But just like us, we also do tend to be human. We have the pros and cons. So right now, while we're sorting out these difficulties, please stay tuned. We'll be back with you as soon as all of this is resolved and we're back up to top-notch quality. But up until then, we'll be with you in just a moment.
See you then. And so we are back in game for round number 6. It's now or nothing time for these players of MGViT and Asgard. MGViT lost round number 5. Asgard gained a little bit back on their momentum, lost a little bit of their pride in round number 3 and 4. It's always that magic round number 3, going back into that 2-2 split. One team taking the lead back. Are we seeing the legendary 3-3 split and the 3rd map in a row, Puffabo? Or shall we see a 4-2 for Asgard? What are your thoughts?
Ooh, that's... I don't know. I'm scared. Asgard are really, both these teams are so unpredictable at times. But you know what? I think we can stick with a 3-3. We've always been in some sort of similar pattern, and I think we can stick to it for a third time. You know, third time's the charm. Maybe that's the charm that we've been looking for to get that 4-2 half in for Asgard. Although, you know, both teams ringing each other up. Who's going to be the first one to dial up and, of course, answer that call? It's going to be the Nook Shotgun, which is really uncommon and not liked out by Klein, as he's there to shut down that strategy, but not without leaving that battle quite damaged. Now, of course, we continue on to this 4-4 yet again. Attackers are making quick progress as they've covered a lot of ground. This is huge control they've gained simply from this one risky Nook play, and I say this is well worth it. That's coming out. The Ace is well onto Geisha's side. Want to breach that single walls, of course, that's where the entrance comes in. Just want to watch your footing in case anyone's playing close by. As we saw the Wamai, Klein was the bane of that Nook player looking to make it to advance towards sight. Of course, we surround sight on Skyscraper, but now the main issue is how do we get into it?
That's a big question. How do we get into it? And also another perspective is, where can we possibly get the first sighting of an opponent? We open up some burning torches holes into the main breach. No one inside there. Close on the bomb. Now it's all or nothing about just figuring out a way. Where's the first prompt attach of an opponent? Where can we just maybe try to force a little bit in? We know for a fact there's a guy on Dragon behind that shield, as there were just previously been so far. We also know that there's a Frost on Minibar. These are intels given that they should know, and they probably have. Also, the yellow pings coming through. There's one guy close onto these displays, and I would say that is in the position of doing something, and are in tense of musting do something, as the time is ticking away, and Shanzo giving the first prompt answer, getting the kill against Vazy. That way we have a 4 against 3, and Banku is also getting that C4 dropped on his head, and that round is definitely looking in the favor of your call, Pafo. It looks like we will have a 3-3.
Oh, but maybe not just yet! Oh, Yasuka and Yoshiro right now being the bearer of bad news for WiT, who do manage to trade it out for 1 kill, but not good enough for 3. In the end, it is going to be a 4-2. It's gonna be third time's the charm. We finally get through this solid, thick metal plate of constantivity, of just repetition of how these rounds tend to go. As Asgard, will they be the one to finally put that nail right into the coffin? And of course, 4-2. WiT 2 rounds below and going into the second half on defense. This surely has to be your best, because if you don't squabble up in time, you can say sayonara. This is going to be a difficult one to pass through. Asgard now on the attack, yet again looking to claim out 3 more rounds, as that's all they need to win it out within regulation. Round 7, we can only reach round 10. That is the least we're going to, and that already says a lot. But these teams have been proving to be quite close to each other, both working against and with each other's mistakes, and of course what they're good at. And I'm really liking this matchup. Both of these teams have proven that this is a good lower bracket quarterfinal, and I'm just wondering, you know, if this is what we're seeing here, Mighty, how much better is it going to get into the grand final and also the semifinal tomorrow?
I would say it will get better every single game that we will see. Now the hot phase is not only past, it's over. This is volcano temperature. These teams are locked in. They're determined. They want to have that final ticket. They know for a fact who their lower bracket final opponent will be, as Silent Family is indeed the team that has lost. Apparently, they are sitting, waiting ducks for their opponent. It is maybe one of these 2 teams, or maybe one of the 2 teams hitting the game tomorrow. But as of this moment, it's really much, as we always say, it's go big or go home. Asgard need to have their locked-in focus of saying we need to close this match out for good before WiT is closing in. WiT, either though, they need to have focus in of saying we got to reconnect to the lead of Asgard, bringing our game plan out in the defense, not playing it too crucial, not playing it too passive, and taking these rounds back and equalizing these lead of Asgard's. So we have seen 6 rounds so far. I would say it's somehow awaited the lead of Asgard because this map is so defender-sided. But as you mentioned, it is so hard to predict what's happening with these two teams. It's so close, and then so often it isn't that close after all. So I'm just pretty much tended to see what will happen in round number 7. As Asgard is struggling a little bit, they take a lot of time to just figure out, okay, where do we want to push from? Is it more from Dragons? Is it more from Terrace? And the time is definitely ticking down the clock. Meanwhile, WiT is just completely chilling down, calming down, waiting for their hopes and chances.
Hopefully this defense will be enough for WiT to lick out their wounds, as currently, going by previous group standing, Asgard are currently the champion in this matchup, and WiT are the title challengers. Now coming through yet again, WiT, can you really be enough of a challenge for Asgard? Right now you're 2 below, let's make that only 1. Let's get it 4-4. You know, that's what they're saying right now in their voice chat. They're ready to scream, and they're ready to push through. This is initiation right now. They're gonna get pushed down to their very brink. The C4 comes out. It's not gonna get taken out, as Klein will be claiming out the bandit, saving his comrade. In the meanwhile, Yasuke finding 2, Yoshiro with a 3rd, and a 2nd as well right after that. A double kill double as well. Of course, with it, will be combining into a beautiful flawless right now. It happened in a moment, in a split second. It was dink after dink after dink, you name it. And a 5-2 was established as Asgard, out of nowhere, now in a 3-round lead, 2 away from their victory within regulation, and a dominant performance, more dominant than we've ever seen up until today.
It's getting more dominant, and Asgard is definitely determined and they're locked in, as we always like to say. Meanwhile, WiT is definitely struggling. A flawless in round number 7 when they just begin to play the upper hand side of Skyscraper, just drawing in and playing defense now. It's not a good call for them. Immediately, when you have a 4-2 lead against you, speaking, they are rolling into the defense on Skyscraper, you immediately need to find a prompt answer. You're immediately forced to do something good for your team. Well, that is the case with it. They just immediately lose the round to pick off, and Asgard, what they do best, they're extending the lead, and they're extending their calmness, and also their, I would say, controversy of saying we're not giving this around and this map away. WiT, you got to do better than that. And WiT tried with a good setup, but it didn't pay out. And WiT is more than ever in all this matchup here, standing with their backs against the wall. They have everything in their card holds of saying we can take this map back, but there's a long and hard way to do so.
It's a long call we need to get through. It is definitely a journey here for WiT, as they're standing against all odds and chances. But so were they earlier when they were at that 6-5. We had people in sight. We had them at a complete discomposition. But they still managed to make wondrous plays. So who's stopping them from doing it again? Well, none other than Asgard, of course. You're playing up against a big name, a titan of this entire competition of ESA itself. They've been recognized by many, but at WiT, they're definitely the ones to put their names right next to him. And Bankers is going to be finding out the hot hand of previous rounds, Yoshiro, but Yasuke, both wise in action, as Bankers is going to be traded out soonly after a lot of damage onto Yasuke. He's still kicking, though, and that's important for an operator such as Ace. He's reaching out. He's throwing those helmets because might as well throw them while you still can, right? Because that blitz, Senzo, he wishes he could have said the same, just like the poor, I do believe that was the Mozzie right now. Of course, that C4 not being utilized, it's a 1-for-1 deal. But where do we find this type of leverage that will keep us at some sort of contention a bit more longer than, what, 5 seconds? Because these refrags are coming out second after second.
They're coming in second after second, but here we are. We haven't gained so much more room. We're still in need of figuring out ways of gaining access to these key positions in the hands of Asgard, as the WiT is determined of locking these down, just pushing away, bringing a lot of force against Asgard, not making them feel comfortable of pushing in and pushing beyond, as we have the first steps onto Shrine, and they are not feeling tensed. They're not feeling well. And Ishan finds a kill on Yosuke, and now the next gunfight is happening, and Shinji finds a kill on Nokrios, and also Klein is now figured out, and they have crossed the sides. They just don't need to overpeak, and WiT has done the first mile on the milestone here to just close in on Asgard and just maybe gaining some back from the false decisions they just previously made Diffuse is also down, and it's all about Klein against Ishan, and Ishan is faking out, and he is withdrawing that position, getting killed by. We're still having positions now. These bullet cams can bring intel. He knows for a fact there's one guy close upon. There's one on the floorage. The one guy in Geisha is now called out as he's shooting, but the guy in position of prawning down is Shinji, and he's putting out the shotgun and taking that kill for himself, securing the round for Vit. And Vit is closing in, making it 5-3.
Oh, that super shoddy. The secondary shotgun really putting the shorty, some may even call it. It's either that, but whatever, it tends to be a bit of disrespect to the name of Asgard as they lose a round. It seems that whatever key MG would have stumbled upon, this is the way to unlocking the gate of throwing them off of their wavelength. Now they've had such good pacing and footing, they've really kept it up consistently, and at the same time, they've definitely been good at it. Yet again, playing it pacing, playing it very slow, but at the same time making sure that when you deliver a blow, it's strong enough to bring a team down. MG would being that team that was brought down, now ready to take over that legacy themselves as they win out on one round. Okay, that's good. It's a start, We always have to start somewhere. But are we going to continue the race, or are you going to gasp out of air, and is this just some sort of short burst of sprint that you managed to pull out? Well, Asgard, they've definitely been at a nice pace. I've mentioned it before, but MG WiT, we need it as well. Unless you want to go down in a 7-4, 7-3 fashion yet again for a second time in this best of 3, we have to change something. And whatever was changed in that exact round, whatever comms got brought about, whatever positioning was changed, I don't know what it was directly. I don't know what's happening behind these screens and these players' minds. But what I do know is that it worked, and we needed to work for an extra 2 rounds.
Definitely, but another thing to keep in mind, since you just mentioned it, this is not to be taken on serious by Vit. This is not a sprint to win, this is an endurance run, and the endurance run has just begun for them. They tried to push it all over the edge in the first round, didn't work. They get caught off guard by Asgard, then picking up that round, gaining a lead of 5-2. Now they've figured out a way of pushing back Asgard and making them feel uncomfortable. And now they push in as Shenzo, though. This is looking to be a fast push. They're not gaining an access. They're trying to figure him out. And now look at these kills that are going in. But the team kill, joining it down to a 3-3 scenario. This is not good. Banku's figuring out a kill. That is Yoshiro. And that way we have the upper hand of it. And also the shield is way off Shinji. And this is an endurance. And an endurance run is looking good, as also he's not figuring, as looking into the elbow of Bankus that was pretty good. Well shown as Bankus just swings around and gets his last kill as he sees the elbow indeed on the window. So good kill by him, closing in yet another round. So going into a 5-4. Asgard with a good plan, didn't work out. Why didn't it work out? Blitz jumps in alone, no one covers, no one follows in, no one follows back. And that means Vit on position only have to challenge and face off with a Blitz, deal that as champs, and there's no more life signs coming in whatsoever by Asgard.
I love the risks that Asgard takes at times, but is it worth it? You have to take into consideration at what happens if you lose. Earlier it worked out once. That doesn't mean it's going to work out again. Certainly not, especially when MG WiT are now locked in and loaded. And that's a great way to throw them off. You've been playing a bit more passive. You throw in a bit of a kicker just to make sure that they are on their feet. But they surely were. They were more than just standing. They were right now running ahead of you, and they were reading you like a book. I mean, the fact that a team kill even occurred, it's a bit of unfortunate plays, yes, here and there. But in the end, it's your round that was lost. It's your 2-round deficit that's now brought down to a one round away from a possible equalization. We either get this to 6-4, and hopefully in those 2 remaining rounds, Asgard, you manage to break the tie of going to overtime at all this entire day, or MG WiT, I mean, they prove us wrong, and they completely turn it around, get the table flipped, and with it, they bring us an even more luxurious meal than Asgard ever did. That's up to the ifs and the buts, and of course for time to tell, as up until then, it's round number 10. And with it, it's gonna be hectic because we already see breaches coming out. Asgard slowly back on how they started and not ready to, go in for another rush yet again.
We're professional casters, but I will just say, Max, move out of the voice call. You're not jinxing. You're not casting tonight. You're not casting
Not
cursing.
tonight.
An unlimited overtime upon us.
Get
So
out.
move out of this call because we're in for some trouble. As Ishak though closes in and gets the first opening frag with a C4 onto Nokrios, and it's not looking for Asgard. Asgard is struggling to find free entryways without dealing with any casualties, and MGVIT is just forcing these casualties upon them without asking for it in return.
This is absolutely unbelievable, Asgard. You lose out on the first, but you're known in this day that you managed to bring it back for one, maybe even two. Doesn't happen, you go for a pre-fire, you back off. Yet again, it's a bit of a switch in route routine, as of course, not only walking through the Kapkans, but into the bullets of that T5 is going to be the bane to not only one, but a bit of a retrade, which isn't going to be finishing the job. This could be leaving a huge opportunity. Asgard, you've been so good at capitalizing and capturing those opportunities that you seemingly lost out on the touch. Going in for single plays, yes, you finish out on the Legion. You lay down unexpectedly, but you're still playing close quarters against a shotgun without a Dokkaebi shortly after. Claim now completely claimed out. Shotgun v shotgun, the last one to find it out. Senzo manages to actually win it out, but in the process, you've lost your fellow comrade. Your duo, Yasuke, is now completely on the floor, bleeding out, and you have nothing left but yourself, your gun, hopes and dreams right now to spend this equalization. Information is out on you. You can hope to head check. You can hope to go for pre-fires. You surely don't have the diffuser. You don't have that verticality, and you certainly can't go for it. You've spent so much time out on this balcony that you've lost every single advantage, and now it's only for MGWiT to play with their food.
It is indeed, as you mentioned, you shouldn't play with your food. Well, in this case, you have everything speaking against your last remaining opponent. So this will indeed, after the 13 last seconds, this will be the very end of a lead existing for Team Asgard as Bankers closes this down in round number 10, and we have ourselves a 5-5 equal standing. And I will say once more, on both maps prior, we have had a team picking up the pace after round number 3, and we have all the way back since then had the winner of the map win round number 9. Round number 9 was indeed won by MGVIT. They won round number 10, and they are making Asgard look and feel uncomfortable in their own play. Yes, they have game plans, they have a build-up, but these build-ups are only happening with casualties alongside them. So I would say ViT is determined and locked in. Asgard really need to figure out and find answers promptly, or else they will fall off here in a bad way.
It's a bad way, and Asgard, don't let this be a monumental fall off. MGWiT, you have such a great play right now. The playstyle is really working in their favor, and this defense, well, it is a place they can crawl back to any time because it's working out for them. They're so comfortable in it. It's like a cozy blanket that's sitting right behind me right now, because if this goes overtime, we are all going to sleep. And Bose, who is right now in the call, is taking over all of our jobs. I swear to God, this is a retaliation, one that we've never seen before, and it shouldn't be included in the formula, but it somehow managed to scoop its way in. Right now, we're the ones catching Trey. As Asgard, we need to switch it up. MGWiT, definitely give credit where it's due. They are doing phenomenal right now, completely pressurizing and even overcoming Asgard's defense, and at the same time, shutting them down at every step they attempt to make. 5-5, MGWiT, they brought it back. That's huge. You know, give a round of applause right now in your own mind. A run out expected from WiT right now. I don't know what's going to be happening with that dog, but it surely isn't good if it turns out to be anything successful for MGWiT.
I would say so much as that if we ever needed a cast a curse, we need it now. There's no way we're happening with an overtime in this match. This match definitely deserves it, but it comes to the most unfortunate time ever. So I just hope that when we will have a cast a curse happening, Bosmek has posted 3 memes already in chat of overtime. Please let this be a cast a curse. But let's focus back on this round as Asgard just picks up not only 2, but 3 kills right out of the flash and only have to deal with 1 casualty. But what is this happen? What is looking? No, Shinji with a good flank. Is he falling out of the round? This will definitely mean that Asgard will win this round, because I don't think that Bankus will be able to lock this round out for himself, especially because he has the Blitz in front of him, completely calling him out there, pushing it through. He's trying to get some bullets done, but Yashiro is there to close it out and make it a day for that round. As we will most likely will have a tech pause very quickly to wait for the name of Shinji recovering back into this match. And indeed, we are back in camps.
Also back on match points. It's like time just flew by, and wow, we are in the decider map. Suddenly, it's all like it didn't ever happen in the first place. I mean, it's the final chance here. Asgard, you either take it away. Right now, this round, tip my head. You can't see that, but I'm emoting it to you. In the end, though, we either ended 7-5 or MG WiT bring us to a possible overtime, which also brings the extra possibilities of it chaining up to an overtime, an unlimited overtime, because with how it's been going up until now, personally, I would not be surprised even a tiny bit. Although with how it's been going, I mean, this is, yet again, it's really questionable because we see a pattern. We just can't decide who it's going to go to. That's how it's been up until now. It really comes down to these final moments. And right now, this round is the most essential for MG WiT, because if they don't tend to win it out, all of this would have been for nothing. Asgard, same goes for you. If you don't win out this round and then end up losing in overtime fashion, it applies the exact way. And Mighty, this is coming down to the wire.
This is coming down to the very last end. Round number 12, we're most likely going to overtime. I would say this round looked very convincing for Asuka. They had a lot of power again this round, so they are able to close out in round number 12. And it's pretty much about how are the teams able to pick it back up after this pause to go back into round number 12. Are they focused on them? Are they determined or just closing it out, making a day for Asgard? Now they're in the lead. They have the focus upon of saying we're in the lead. We're having match point for our favor. We just wanted to make this end. They have the biggest opportunity to do that, but WiT will have everything left. They have so much more energy, I hope, in their tanks, and they will bring it to their very last second. Because still, if they win this round, we will go through overtime. It's unlimited overtime. And it's then, by then, especially by then, it's in pure endurance run. Who is lacking first? Where is the energy tank empty? And which team will rise above the highest? But I would say, unfortunately, we will have a complete rehost. So I will say we will kick it into a break and we see you each other back again when we have rehosted and we are back in round number 12. Until then, after a short break.
The final words that were said by Bose Max, also known as Overtime Bose Max, here before leaving us in a bit of silence, were, I believe, overtime. Now, I'm going to be denying us of that, but is Asgard going to be doing the same? And will MG WiT be bringing us into it? Well, that's the question we have yet to answer. We took a bit of a break. We had a rehost. We're back in action. It's yet again me, Puffle Bob, and Mighty. 6-5. This is all down to this one round.
It's all down to this one round, and I would say we are having the best screen possible because the ban phase is concluding through. Even though we have preset the bans because we already have had the ban phase, these teams have already played out rounds. But to just overbridge some time, we would say 6-5 standing in the favor of Asgard. Asgard will give their very all to close it out now, because they don't want to go for that long endurance run that they so have to take upon if we go to overtime. WiT now, with their backs against the wall, we have figured out earlier, when they're with their backs against the wall, that's when they try to play the best they can possibly give. And that is definitely needed, because if they lose this round of 12 now, Asgard wins this map and not only take one map point, but they take the final map point they need to walk into the semifinals of the lower bracket for next week. And I have to say, it's very tempting for me to say that shall be the case, but I think we will do everything possibly against what they can, because it's all about for them of going overtime or being eliminated out of Season 9 of ESA Cup.
Asgard holding the hatchet to bury it all right now and deciding who's going to be going up against Entropy. The winner of Entropy versus LDL, which will be played tomorrow. Yet again, keep that in mind. Keep that inside B there, or don't. Well, you're going to be the one missing out. In the meanwhile, though, be here and stay tuned, because right now this could be the end of it all. Or, of course, like we said, overtime. Now, of course, while Max in the background is praying for our downfall, we're in here keeping the energy tight, and we're here on defense and attack. WiT on the defensive in the backlines, ready to play with their own fortress they built up and are still doing so currently, and Asgard ready to tear it down, get those kills running, and maybe the refrags that they've been so commonly known for throughout these 3 matches today. In the meanwhile, we also see the operator that's been brought out the most on this map, purely because he hasn't been banned much, and that's going to be the Blitz onto Senzo, who in general has really had good fragmentations overall. Coming through, eliminations are needed. Yet again, the one to open it up is going to be the one to first have that advantage and that overhand overstep, you may call it. And of course, Asgard here looking to finish it out, and WiT looking to keep themselves in the game.
And I would say it's more likely to have that. We'll have a semi-long break now into the rehost. Both teams should be cooled down a little bit, and it's all about who has the bigger mindset now, who's more locked in than the opponent, and who is picking up their pace faster after this break, because breakers always tend to break down pace and also seem to break down like game plans, and also like you always put on like a typical game phase with your team when you're in a match, and when you have a break that takes down a little bit from the clock and splits time a little bit, you lose a little bit from your game phase, and it's more likely now of seeing which team is more locked in and is ready for this gunfight. Because if one team now takes a little bit too much time for themselves of figuring out ways and also figuring out reactions upon different type of scenarios, they will definitely get run over here by the other team.
One small mistake, one trip over, and it could all be done. The Warden runs away swiftly as he gets away with his life. Oh, this is getting close. Of course, we want to play to our advantages, but when going close range, especially close quarters against so many characters with shotguns, SMGs, and of course guns like it, you're going to be in quite a dangerous position here, Asgard. Still haven't found yourselves any kills, nor have you found yourselves killed just yet. It was going to be the smoke babes being popped one after another. That's one wasted, 2 more remain for the post-plant, or maybe pre-plant while it's all going down. 1 more remain. Damage onto the Blitz. He's right now quite low. He had to back up. Wasting great time here is going to be WiT right now, but can you waste more good shots coming out? You peek out for a second time, and it's going to be working out. Not only once, but twice for WiT. A 3v5 situation right now, low on HP, and all standards against Asgard as they're looking to get anything out of nothing. They've lost it all, and right now they're at the bottom of the food chain as Vasi is eating away. Nocrio finally returns for 1, but you've lost 3 in the process. It's too great of a deficit right now, and with the time remaining, you are in an improbable, maybe even impossible situation of victory with the diffuser being so far away. Nocrio, he finds himself a second into the round, but where was this at the very beginning? Well, it doesn't matter. A triple kill is there, but an ace is needed as it won't be delivered, and it's overtime. Unlimited overtime possibilities coming through, and a 6-6 finally not having this one finish within regulation and breaking the curse yet again. These players always manage to surprise us,
and that way we're in the ultimate overtime scenario. It's a scenario neither one of us casters wanted, but now we got it, and that way we gotta fulfill it, unfortunately. But it is the case. But as I mentioned, both teams cooled down a little bit. One team cooled better than the other. WiT cooled down in a chilly way of saying, okay, we're confident and we're playing this out cool and steady with our own positions and our own favorite lines. Meanwhile, Asgard were like completely calmed down and chilled down. They looked like, okay, they were chilling on the beach and like somehow on a wide bench, just chilling in the sun, enjoying the weather, and just completely forgetting about time. Because I mentioned the first entry and the complete gainer that they had to exhibition mini bar onto terrace took them a little bit more than 1.5 minutes, and then it staggered. Nothing more happened. And that is the case that I mentioned. You had a break in a highest heat temp in this matchup, and then you have to take a break. That's so unfortunately, and immediately that will disrupt your game flow, and that is not the way you need to play. As now, WiT has closed it in on a 6-6 there, still in the upper hand with the better side, but Shinji, what an unnecessary crucial run out, and Yoshiro finds an opening kill. This could be the first pickup that could be so good, as it always now on Skyscraper. Yes, we talk about it, it's so defender-sided, and now in overtime where you need to win with a differential of 2 rounds, you need to win a back-to-back round. That means you need to win in the defense and also in the attack back-to-back. And winning in the attack here on Skyscraper is the harder bit, and now the perfect startup for Asgard has happened.
This is the breakthrough Asgard we're looking for. Right now, you have the opportunity, you let it slip by. That's completely fine. You're on even grounds and fresh out the oven after that rehost we just had not too long ago. Now you lose out on the Shinji. Shinji was such a vital play of earlier's round due to the time waste and also shutting down your blitz, and so was that Frost because those angles were covered and you couldn't make an entrance. But now's that time to make it shine. Senzo, he finds the second pick right now so early on, but yet so much happening at the same time. We'd expect if WiT were on the attack, it would take about, what, 2 minutes to actually get to this type of action. Right now, Asgard, they're taking a short roundabout. They're definitely making a bit of a shortcut, some would say. They've already claimed 2 heads. Now they need 3 more or get that plant down and let the ticker slowly time it out. Playing aggressively now, WiT are looking for those kills, and they claim out 1. Claiming out the life as well is going to be getting away with just the barely small amounts, tips of blood, with Vasi still holding on, but by the bare minimum, Nate's coming out. He's going to have to back off. ADS saving lives, and that 416 carbine approaching. It's a danger zone right now, Asgard. You have lost that track. You had such a progressive act earlier, really bringing out that aggression, proactivity, but now it's all suddenly gone. Where is it? You're taking that to time. You're suddenly staying back, and you're playing into WiT's hand. It's going to be any second right now that you need to change it up. Otherwise, Klayan will be the one to have a say. Nokuyo punishing for missed shots, not once, but twice as well. And Asgard are going to be having another opportunity at finishing it off here in an 8-6 fashion, and it may not go to unlimited as long as they have a say about it.
And that way, the first round has been dealt in the favor of Asgard. Asgard now switches around into the defenses. We will have round for round swaps in the roles, because as I mentioned, you need to win back-to-back in both roles. Now Asgard has done the hard bit. It's only the softened bit left. They could immediately close it out and make it an evening and pull their ticket to that lower bracket semifinal for Thursday, as they just want to bring everything possible in their force of making that happen.
It's dangerous. It is really getting to that phase of extermination right now, Asgard. Yet again, you're on that defense. Although you have won some rounds on it, I believe this is where they also got, on defense, they got that 4-2 half, possibly, if my memory stands with me. And WiT right now, I mean, yet again, they're right now at the edge of it all. At the edge of the universe, at the end of time right now, because it's all going to get shut down with yet again another slip up. As soon as Asgard claim out that opportunity, they get a hold of the rope and start really pulling in when it's a tug of war. When push comes to shove, Asgard are the ones to have it go the full way, the long way, some may even say. 7-6, overtime match point. Action is intense, but these players, I mean, I'm just wondering how much sweat is dripping from these players' foreheads.
It's definitely an interesting question. I think they were definitely trying their very hardest to make this round count for their sake, and they want to equalize the scorecards once again, and that will definitely cost them a drop of sweat and tears, or maybe also a drop of blood if that shall be the case. But here, in this section, Klain is the one to rise above and make this round open for his team with a huge T4 kill onto Ishak. And we are closing down, 1 minute drafted down, and also the first man has fallen against the favor of WiT. And WiT is the team that is definitely lurking and to find a solution to come back here, as they definitely need a kill very promptly to answer from that opening frag.
What do we hear right now? It's going to be the smokes coming out. What do we not see is a Warden on the defense, but what we do see is a train on legs, also recognized as the blitz for MG WiT. Ready to bring out that aggression and ready to pop some heads right now. They're on the balloon count, and they are waiting for those needles to be shot out. Asgard taking a second approach. They go for a bit of a direct route over to Geisha. Windows and go for that breach.
no,
The mute
oh
is going to be the
no, oh
counter.
no.
Damage is dropped, but in the meanwhile, Asgard, you're on the defense. Make this worth your while. You have wasted some time. Keep it up. Let that pressure slowly stack, build, square upon MG WiT's head, and let that get right into their mindset, because it's going to be the one to break him down. Now shots are coming through. That's going to be the breach. Pre-fire coming from Yasuke, although no success just yet. But yet again, we have the safety switch, okay? We can sit back, relax, and just let it all unfold before us, because the attackers have to push us, not us them. The blitz, oh, he makes his showing and reveals his back just for a second. This could have been dangerous, just like Vasi, making some extra danger for Yasuke. That's going to be the secondary. It's a 1-for-1 deal, but in the end, it's going to be the Prophet going for MG WiT. And it's a 2v3. This is dangerous, Asgard. You lost what you had so much control over. It's like the remote has completely slipped out of your hands, and of course, your enemy has picked it up, while the Yudu traded out for one. It's going to be all down to Yoshiro as he finds himself too low on HP. The Buck knows where he is, but did he rotate? That's the question. 10 seconds, we need to make a move. We don't have the diffuser on hands. You go through the rotation, and of course, there are no gadgets to stop him on it. Does he stick it through? Is there going to be a bait and switch right now? The HP is looking comfortable, and this Buck, oh, he's just right behind those lines. A pre-fire comes through. It's equal standard, but in the end, it's going to be a trade, and that plant being down will be giving MG WiT a second chance yet again at going 7-7, and now back to square one of who will take 2 rounds in a row first.
And this time, the immediate trade out from the defense into the attack did not count out for Asgard. It worked so perfectly fine. It worked out for them on 19 laps and saved them the match. But here, the diffuser was put on the floor by WiT. And that way, the attackers secured themselves the round either way throughout that trade. But that means we are rolling back all the way to 0, and now it's WiT's turn. They both now have won the attack. They both won the hard bit, and now it's about which team can maybe draft themselves the next upper hand, the next chance. They need to win this round back. And yes, they won round number 14. If they win round number 15, they haven't won. They need to win round number 16 as well, because now we have an equal standing and you need to win by 2 points. So if WiT wins this round here, this round number 15, they need to win round number 16 as well. But it isn't easy. Yes, they're in the defense. They have the easier side from the category for this match, which is more favored. It's the defense. But can they make it count? Can they draw some capital out of it? Or will it be Asgard once again taking the lead going into round number 16?
It felt as a second, it could have been a dream for one team. That 1v1. Keep in mind, if that plant was not stuck through, MG WiT would have been right now out of that bracket. The smartest play out from that Buck really worked out in their favor. And oh my, is this getting intense. We thought it was good earlier. We thought it was good earlier on border when we had people in sight without even us knowing. But now, oh, we have absolutely zero idea. We all see what's going on here, and this is one of the best matches we've seen up until now. I'm just hoping that there's going to be a performance even better on later down the bracket sides, but as of current, it's overtime. It's back to square one. You said it. It was by your word, Mighty Ryujin. It's back to 0, like nothing happened. Yet again, that's standard. 0 rounds between each other. The first one to get 2 in a row is the first one to win. This is getting so close. Honestly, even I'm trembling right now.
It's so close, and it's all about, you just saw, yes, of course, Asgard won the round out, but they lost a lot of time in the approach. Then MG WiT just nearly picking up their pace, and when they were needed to do the most, only 50 seconds after the clock to complete the build and conclude through a complete final take, and it worked for them out. So both these teams can also play out a complete scenario in within a few seconds. once again, Asgard has lost a lot of time. It's only 1 more minute left. They still haven't gained any access to, I would say, top VIP. Neither to exit. They're coming in from the behind scenario. They're coming in from backstairs. We have one guy inside, one outside. Now we are having these kills coming in with on the force. They need to withhold their position. Suzuki on the hallway. Yoshiro finds the next kill. Vazey though getting killed. Shinji finding the kill on Yoshiro. The shield is down. We get the next kill into Bankus. Now the smoke canister is coming in. The diffuser is going down on the hands of Yasuke. The diffuser is put down. It's a 2 against 2. And you get the kill not only through. You couldn't commit to the kill through onto Yasuke. He was so low there in that scenario. He's full down. He's completely withdrawn his position. You only have 25 seconds left to get these 2 kills up and running. Need to move out of his position, but Yasuke finds the kill onto Shinji and close it out once again. Once again, that means Asgard is up with the match point for round 16. They have another type of way. They have another chance of closing this match out. Can they make it count now, or is WiT back to take it in their own attack?
Jaw dropping. How much times will we see Asgard be in this match point position is crazy to me. They have always been the ones to be there first, but still ended up being having the race ran by WiT. Now, I mean, we have to watch our 16. Yet again, how hard will it have to feel that a single mistake could be a possible way of you losing this all? It's been going on since what, 3 hours basically. It's been going on for 3 hours. So whatever is going to be happening here, it's going to be huge, but we just can't decide the winner. Asgard and WiT, they're just ping-ponging the rounds one off to another. They're passing it. It's a pass and play, but in the end, I mean, players, we get that it's unlimited overtime, but we need to have a winner at some point, right? Well, this spells bad news for WiT for what, the 3rd time now, because they're at match point yet again. They're against it, for a matter of fact, and Asgard are the ones who are looking yet again to claim it out. We've had 3 opportunities, or this being the 3rd one. Is this finally 3rd time's the charm? You know, it's in the saying, will this be the one to finalize it out? We've learned from our mistakes. We'll have WiT, but who has done so better? That gets proven right now.
But we have to say, overtime so far has been complete attacker favored. Yes, the rounds beforehand, it's more likely to have been defender favored, but this overtime so far has been complete attacker favored. So every hope is still remaining for WiT, as WiT also takes the first opening frag here against Nokrios, and Stenzo withdraws his position and says, okay, I'm going back on side. I don't want to be in any type of crucial position here to just steal away this match. This is to be done in all calmness, as Vanquish finds the next one on to Klein, and this round is once again unfolding in a perfect matter of the way of WiT, as they only have lost 1 minute so far and gained 2 kills. We already also see that the other 3 defenders are back nearly on site, getting killed by these crosses. Vazey with another kill on Shenzo. It's a 5 against 2. This could not only be a big take, but this could be a triple of Vazey. This could be a flawless one for WiT, and that would be a tremendous and a very insane answer. But Yoshiro closes it down and says, no, there will not be a flawless, as I gain 1, I gain 2, but I can't get the 3rd. As Bankus shuts it down and says, we are going into round number 17 and 18, at least.
At least. At least is something the last I was expecting to say when we've already went all the way up to round 17, which means this is going to be round 18 to finish it off, or then it's going to be actually getting to round 20. The fact that that's impossibility. You know, it's so funny, everyone watching right now, in the background of production, we were joking. We were joking that it gets to round 20, okay? And even Mighty, I don't know if you're going to hold your end of the bargain.
I'm going to hold my end of the bargain.
A man of his word. He said he'll do something if we get to round 20, but you know what? We won't spoil the fun. If we do end up getting to round 20, you'll see for yourself, so stay tuned. I mean, maybe it's just, I don't know. You're going to have to see for yourselves. It's a surprise. But in the end, whatever ends up happening, if we get to round 20, I will be shocked. 4 rounds away from that big big 20, okay? This is not something that you get to see a lot in Rainbow Six Siege, even when it got so unlimited overtime. It took us 2 maps, and both of them were within regulation. This is the third one, and we're already at round 17. Absolutely wild.
Absolutely wild, and I have high hopes that one of these two teams have the final pickup, the final like fly off, and saying we are now completely set. We are determined. We are locked in. We are not giving it away. But these two teams have shown us all through these 3 maps when we are indeed needed to find answers and show properly that we can answer in good ways of saying we will take this match back. They give it. Once again here, Shenzo with an opening frag for Team Asgard. Once again, it is the attacker team gaining that first opening frag. I would say this definitely determines that these attackers are bringing force, they're bringing aggression, and they just want to make this match finish and over with.
What I'm looking at right now is Asgard having the strategy to go full breach or nothing. I love the Thermite, Ace, and Maverick all at the same time. Also with the soft support of Gridlock, because everyone needs a soft support. You know, the hard supports, they do need their little backup pal, their pen pal. That's going to be the Gridlock ready to carry along the way. Asenzo, being the Ash player, has taking quite a majority of damage, while in the meanwhile, Banks has found himself among the dead. Now, while we do have this 45, it's great. It's a great way to start, and oh, we love that Maverick being pulled out to make your own, should we call it, artificial footholds and get those lines of sight, not only cutting off the rotation, but also going and making sure that anyone peeking in to where they're not supposed to is punished for it. Yet again, WiT, right now you're at a losing end. You've been so for 3 rounds. This is going to be the 4th one to keep the streak going. Of course, we have 5 players on Asgard, all hungry. Not everyone, but oh, what damage was brought down so quickly. Right now, that Vigil being so grateful for Thunderbird being around, because if not, that HP would have not been comfortable at all going into any future gunfight.
Only taking down to the last minute possible. There's a lot of key things not happening, but Shinji with a huge kill with a C4 here, and now they just need to prep themselves for the final take, as it will come down with these last gunfights quite early now. Basie with an actual Yasuke. I don't think that Basie has been spotted with a shotgun in hand. He has a huge shotgun. He has a calf shotgun equipped onto his Thunderbird, and they know for a fact that the breach isn't open. They have enough time though to open that single breach. There is one guy coming down into Dragon. They will try to force him out as they get the kill on Nokrios, get the kill onto Basie. Shinji get the kill on Klein. Ishan finds the kill on Nokrio, and it's the last one, and Ishan makes the kill onto Shenzo, and that way we have concluded round number 17. That is the first opportunity to close down this match for MGVIT. Can they go the distance? Can they close it out on their very first attempt? Overtime match point, round number 18. Is this the very end for Team Asgard, or can Asgard once again fight back in their only first attempt? They have to do it in their own defense. Can they strike back? VIT finally won the first defense in overtime. Is Asgard able to do the same, or will they have the downfall in round number 18?
MGWiT finally changing the tides. Now it's their turn to have a say about what's going to be happening and what won't. Asgard, this is the first taste of your own medicine when you're up against match point, at least into this one. They've had so many opportunities and they haven't claimed out one. You know, how about we give MGWiT a fair share of those as well? They've certainly earned it, okay? But this is spelling bad news for Asgard. They've had so much, I'd be shaking my head over if you end up losing this one. 8-9, this could be the decider if we go to round 20 or not. It could also be the decider to the victor of today. And of course, the lower bracket quarterfinals. I almost said grand finals. This is how intense it is. I didn't expect it to go on for this long. But look at our minds already crumbling before your very own eyes and ears. All senses being completely corrupted. Right now, of course, all these operators locked in and loaded, ready to absolutely go mayhem. As in the meanwhile, right now, this is going to get intense.
As I just spoken about it previously, this is a pure and single run about endurance, and the endurance is officially on this side of VIT. VIT has shown that they, round for round in the overtime, pick up more and more pace. They play it more and more calmly, and they play it more like I would say chilled out, as they know this is about standards now. It's not about crazy plays. It's about the standards of keeping the game plan real and keeping it alive and taking off a lot of time from the clock. It's more time you take off the clock by Asgard. Asgard feels more uncomfortable. Now they've been putting on a lot of force. They know for a fact we can play it fast, we can play it slow, and we have both won it against Asgard. We just need to play this out focused as a team to win this match out in round number 18. And Asgard now, for the first time in the whole entire matchup, are now in the position of saying we have no more ground of leaving things unnecessarily. They no need to pretty much give their all to not fall through and leave this matchup with a lose and saying goodbye themselves to ESA Cup Season 9.
Possible greed being shown. WiT, they bring out the Nook, which has been working out for some certain scenarios. That shotgun definitely has its strengths, but it has to be used correctly. Like they say, with great power comes great responsibility, and with overtime match point comes a possibility of taking it out. It's going to be the L85 to start us off. A quick retrade over to that Nook we were so highly speaking of. A 4v4, but my mistake, it's a 3v4 here. WiT, they find out too. This could be it. Right now they are tiding the turns. Right now it's all down to the final two players. One is taken out, and no, it's Defender. He's all left down standing. The FP7, it's all around about. You have 4 players to claim the plant is going down. You line 1, but in the meanwhile, you're completely overwhelmed. 2 are claimed, but in the end, it's just not enough. 2 more were needed. And finally, WiT into round number 18. Claim out a damn well hard-fought victory, as this took a lifetime and a half. Our vocals ready to go to sleep, but before that, a congratulations, as this was a match and a half here, ladies and gentlemen. Finally finished out, and wow.
Wow. What a match it has been. What a tremendous way of ending the evening. Max OT into unlimited OT in 18 rounds of straight Rainbow Six Siege madness on a map like Skyscraper tells you something. Skyscraper is a match, better said, a map that is quite often finished after round number 9, 10, very earliest on 11, but I've never seen a match going to unlimited OT on Skyscraper before. So that was interesting, and I would say that match was a conclusion of WiT saying we have endurance and we will bring the endurance to the very end. Asgard having a lack or two here, unfortunate happenings, couldn't fight through. And I'm somehow surprised though that Asgard didn't stand up tall here. But hey, the Germans once again got to show their pride and say we will take our way all the time as we so can. We will bring the force. We will take our dedication with us in every single match, and we will try to give our very best. The very best here was definitely enough to take the win against Asgard and saying we're going into semifinals of lower bracket. I'm hyped up. I don't know if I am able to go back down to sleep now, but I will just leave it over to you, Puffo. You have the last words of tonight.
The ultimate question that's always been pondering in our minds: speed versus strength, attack versus defense, and of course, the one that's been coursing through our veins since the very start of time: Asgard versus WiT. Finally done and dusted in 10-8 fashion. It feels so wrong saying that, but we're here in the first place, and yet again, of course, we can't finish it off because in the end, all things must come to an end, just like today's beautiful match. Before they do, though, of course, do keep an eye out for that match tomorrow, because it's going to be Entropy Gaming versus LDL yet again. 2 absolute titans that are going to be facing off. And those are yet again some brackets to keep out and look, because the winner of those will be facing off against WiT, and then it's going to be off to the grand final shortly after. But to keep it all nicely and tightly, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all to the viewers, of course, enjoyers and enthusiasts of Rainbow Six Siege. Thank you so much to the players for actually lasting this long. And of course, thank you to the production. I mean, we had VoIT in the background sticking it through, almost going to sleep, but just sticking to us with us, just like the rest of us. I mean, it's been a burden. Thank you so much to Ogon in the background for observing. Thank you so much for Bose for joining in the last second just to keep this going as long as possible. And Mighty, thank you so much for being a co-caster alongside me today, because it was a blast. And we hope to hear from you tomorrow, because it's going to be an even bigger one, hopefully. But up until then, we hope you have a great rest of your day.
See you then.